Game on, guys. We are back for our Dice Illusions and the session number 2 of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, second edition, in our campaign called Fool's Landing. And we are currently set in the continent of Faerun in the Forgotten Realms. My name is Jamie, and I'm also known as Crumb to some. And I will be the Dungeon Master tonight. And tonight we've got 6 players returning, and we're going to do a quick round for everybody to introduce yourself. And if you could, players, just tell us who you are and who's your character and something we should know about your character. So I'm just going to go left to right on my screen, which might be different than your own. So apologize if it's out of order or sequence of what you're expecting. But I have first on my screen Adam. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Adam. I'm playing Bartholomew. He's a cleric of Lyra, and he's searching for the means to acquire power to achieve a great deed that he holds very important to himself.
He's a human, correct?
Yes, he's a human cleric.
Awesome. Welcome. All right.
There we are.
Yeah, I see a couple people refreshing. Roll20 seems to be acting a little sketchy. Caller if you're getting caught in the lag. But next is Nate.
I'm Nate. I'm playing Airvlor, who is a Elven Ranger. He is a ex-soldier scout who's a bit at odds with other members of his race for reasons in his backstory that may or may not come to light.
Excellent. And next is Rodolfo.
Yeah, it's me. Rodolfo, playing the halfling Ronnie, a little troublemaker so far.
So far, you're living up to that. But you are now a stout halfling, correct?
Stout halfling.
So you joined the Infravision Club with that. So you are amongst a lot of good company here that can see well in the dark. Cool though. So awesome. Welcome. And next we'll go to Chris.
Hey there. I'm doing Kurza, our friendly first level wizard. A wanderer. He got the taste for being outside the Elven Enclave with his dad, traveling around doing diplomacy and deal making with merchants, and enjoys being out and about.
And he's upper class, or he's become upper class, right? Through his success and his family's success.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder.
I don't know that he has the wish to be upper class, but not sure if he has the money to do it.
Don't we all? Awesome. All right. And next is Brian.
Yes, I am Brian. I play the character Lee Ioana, the Bayesian of the Priory of Alana the Forest, goddess of the woods. And unlike Ronnie, I plan to be the biggest troublemaker.
Oh, more trouble than...
Oh yeah, human first level druid.
It'll be fun. Awesome. Cool. Thanks, Brian. And last but not least, Kevin. Good evening.
Hey everybody, I'm Kevin. I'm playing Kermwin, a elf, for all intents and purposes, blade singer, but he's out of school just a little too young.
Yeah, he's still up and coming. He hasn't hit the big time in the blade singing stage yet, but he's up and coming. He's like an opening act.
Something like that.
But he's very highly skilled and obviously has some mystery going on as well.
Yeah, doesn't like to talk about it much. But like I said, he's an elf, level 1 fighter, level 1 magic user.
Cool. Perfect. And yep, Mike is out tonight. He was our dwarven fighter, so we'll catch him up next time. I guess where we should probably start is just to recap last session. Maybe if one of you'd like to take a stab at that in your own words, and let us kind of know what happened last session and where we left off, and then I'll take it from there.
We met at Westgate. We bartered our travel animals when we met Winnick. I believe he was the like inventory manager for the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, he was calling
Um,
himself a coordinator.
Yeah.
Yes. Right on.
They told us we had to stay at an inn overnight, so we did. Thankfully, nothing untoward really happened. But Self followed a cloaked man to the Osprey in the wee hours of the morning. Found that there was really we got blocked from going much further, and then went back to the room. And then when everyone woke up in the morning, we all had wonderful tattoos on our primary right inner forearm. The boat took off, and then that night we met Kadison, who seems to know a little bit about what's going on here, and I think that's about where we left off.
Yeah, I would say you summed it up pretty well. And we're gonna pick up there in that room where, and I'll set that scene in a second. But there were a couple things I'll cover real quick, some changes just to point out for you guys so that you see it all. But you each have your own in the journal. You'll each have your own folder under player characters now, where you'll have a couple of different files related to your character, including the character sheet, backstory, and rumors and observations. So you should see all three of those. If you don't, for any reason, see three things in your folder, let me know, and I will make sure I correct that for you. There's a few new handouts as well up above that will be helpful, including one that I wanted to touch on with Brian's question about the date. So we'll go back and I'll talk about the Faerun calendar, which I'm going to adopt and retrofit to the campaign here versus the Greyhawk calendar that I used in the last session. Let me switch over and we'll talk about that real quick. And you guys have all the information now that you would ever need about it in that handout labeled calendar. But this is worth covering real quick. I was using the Greyhawk calendar before. I'm going to convert us over to this one. And yesterday, or the first session that we played, would have been the first of Flame Roll in this campaign. And so we're going to make that adaptation. And so today would be the night of the second, basically. And that's where we're going to carry on the story. I did already correct the handout, so it should already reflect those dates. So essentially, we're in there in Faerun's version of July, midsummer. And one thing you'll notice about their calendar is they do have 12 months, but they're broken into 10 days. And they have a different name for every day of the week. And between months, there's a holiday in certain cases. When you see one of these holidays on the calendar, it's the 31st day, if you will, or a day in between those 2 months. And it's a complete day that's dedicated to that particular celebration or observation. And there's some information in that handout that you guys can look at to learn a little bit more about what each of those things would be like, and more information about the days of the week and all of that stuff. Just wanted to make sure we touched on that first, and so we'll base everything going forward from that point. Make sense? Everybody good with that?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead then. And is there anything else? One of the other things I'll just mention is that, just to remind you that you can use your Astonishing Fortune to make rerolls in certain cases, and nobody used those in the last session. That would have been potentially a game-changing thing, but in the end it benefits you because you guys get additional XP for not using it. Just calling that out, you don't have to use it, but it's there for you to use, and either way it's going to benefit you if you use it or not in some form or fashion. Just a reminder on that. And I think that is really it. As far as the administrative stuff, we can, one more piece, we'll do the party roles that we talked about. So I made this kind of visual so that we can keep track of who has signed themselves up for these different things so far. basically, Kevin did the telling on this episode, if you will, so I'm going to put him there. He retold the last session. And you guys, at this point, if you want to change any of this, it's really your internal affairs to figure out what you want to do. But I would encourage you to work on at least these marching orders, and this will help me so that when we enter situations where I can just drop you in and know the order that you would prefer to be in, I'll be able to reference this. If you want to take a few minutes, guys, and just maybe think about if you want to do any switching here with the roles themselves, and then just maybe collaborate on the orders there. And I'll remove, I think I've already removed, Hamden is out, so he shouldn't show up on anything.
Where is the... Did we get any experience for the first session?
Yeah, so I've put that in the Discord, and that would be easily missed there, but I also have it under the party notes on your journal. So for session 1, you'll see yourself listed there. We had a range.
Oh, I see. XP awards.
Yeah, we had a range between 300 and 460 between everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody was close to leveling up, so I didn't think it mattered yet, but we'll track it that way. And speaking of that, when you do level up, I've added a handout or a role handout on leveling up that kind of helps you with the leveling up. But regardless of that, is there anything you guys want to do here on this setup before we move forward?
I'd like to deal
Bartholomew
with
in the front.
I'd like to be in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know who has the most XP or any of that, so that's your decision. I think you guys can move yourselves. Let me know if for some reason you can't, but if you want to try to move yourself to where you think you should be in the order, or just discuss it, that's up to you.
Does anybody?
We got
I was
two
just gonna say.
curses in the double file marching order. He's like duplicated.
Yeah, it is.
He's the mirror image.
Yeah.
He's gone. Who am I missing
Yeah,
there
that's
then?
supposed to be Lay.
Lee.
Okay. Oh, she was
Lee.
up in the marching order twice. Okay. Yep. Thanks, Brian.
Double file. Okay.
As far as if we're doing single file, like through a cabin or something, if our tank isn't here, Kermit will be up front, no problem.
Which side is the front? This side?
Left.
to right.
Left or right, yeah. Bartholomew generally
Yeah.
doesn't wear armor unless it's premeditated. He keeps it stored.
It says that right there, left to
Yeah, that's the only deal. If we know we're going in someplace and I've got time to don my armor, I wouldn't mind being closer, but that also means that I'm not casting spells.
I don't like to be in
Aren't you a cleric?
the middle here.
He is an armorless.
Yeah,
priest, so that's risky to put him up front. I think he's.
Oh, specialty priest.
Yeah, I
Specialty
kind of.
priest, never mind.
Yeah, I delved into whatever it looked like the dice were doling out, and it was harsh when it comes to combat as far as cleric skills. But
Gotcha.
I'll go to the front as much as people want. I'm a bit DPS. I don't know. 2-weapon fighter, and my AC isn't terrible.
Yeah.
if I'm not right in the front, I'll fill in wherever's useful. But
I'm a mobile fighter.
Probably you have your two sturdiest. If you put Ervalor and Kermwin at the front. They're the sturdiest, it seems, if that's your strategy.
There's a couple different types of single file walking. If we're walking through the forest, the elves should be in the front.
Sure.
If we're going down into some creepy little cave, maybe the smaller characters could be in the front. So I don't know if we're making any accommodation to any of that.
Yeah, I'm not locking you into it if it needs to change based on the situation. It's just that once you guys figure this out, I imagine it won't change that often. And it'll help me when I start the situation to put you in that order at least. And if you need to change it, you can change it.
Ervalor's a full-blooded elf, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone else full-blooded elf?
Urza.
Kurza?
Yeah,
Okay,
but I'm completely unarmored.
Yeah.
I understand, but just so
Me too.
to be aware, with the three of us, if we break more than 90 feet away from the party in a forested area, we can just disappear
Okay.
for all
With
intents and
war.
purposes.
Halflings can do that with the elves too.
Yeah, you're basically a mini elf at this
Yeah.
point. They might adopt you. We'll see. Okay. Any other changes you want to make? The watch order, I don't know. Again, that's probably based on spell preparation more than anything. But you guys, if you want to set that or not, I don't know that we'll get that far. But if
I'll
there's
be the last watch for the wee hours of the morning.
And
Elves
what's
only
the
need the 4 hours anyway.
what's the time for spell preparation generally for this version?
I want to say it's 10 minutes per level, something like that.
10 minutes per
Yeah,
level
that's
per
right.
spell.
Okay.
10 minutes per level per spell.
But
Not a
that's-
problem then.
That's
So-
divine or wizardry.
So, anything you want to change about the watch order? Again, none of this is set in stone, just a template.
I'd like to see one elf with one other and double up the watch, if that's all right.
Okay.
So there's two of us on,
That's no
even
problem.
though it's one elf is stuck with a human or a halfling.
I
I
like
don't know
that.
how we're
I like how
getting-
you're stuck with them.
Yeah. I just assumed my
Well, the
human
elves
slept
only-
while the elves stayed awake, but
Yeah, the elves only need 4 hours of reverie. If we did that in shifts, there's always 2 elves up, awake anyway.
we have 4 elves.
But we have
Three.
3.
3.5 of. Right.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, man.
Yeah, that's probably what you want to do. Just if you were trying to overlap. Yep. So again, we'll be able to change it. But if you have an order in mind that you want to just throw out there for now, we'll track it over time. It'll be interesting to see if it stays this way. And when you've got a dwarf in the mix too, you'll have additional coverage. So you'll have pretty good watch. Okay.
There you go.
So where are the doubles? Who's
Yep.
doubling with who? If you want to move one up a row, if you're doubling with someone.
I guess we could just leave it as is, because
Just
we've
do it
got
like
the
this.
elves. We have the elves spaced out. Yeah, so it's we'll just double that.
All
I'll
right.
keep my eye on the sneaky little sneaky little halfling.
Never hurts to have 2 people awake at the same time anyways, so
Right on. Okay. Cool.
we're on watch.
Yeah, like I said, as long as we stack the elf sleep, there's always going to be 2 elves awake.
And essentially, the role of the marshal, the whole idea behind it is that you guys set all this together, but if you do want to change it at any point, just let me know, and the marshal, I'll talk through you to make sure we change this. So if you want to do anything in this situation that's not here, feel free to call it out. All right. Any other questions on any of this? Does anyone want to change anything else, or are we good to go?
Pretty good.
Mhm.
All right, we'll go back to our scene here. First, I want to take you to the deck of the ship to show you again where we were on the 3rd level of the ship. And as Kevin covered it at the intro there, you guys found yourselves then at the back, in the back quarter here. You got yourself cornered, and Ronnie was pulled in, and his loyal friends stepped up to see what was wrong, and we're all pulled in as well. And that was where I think we left off, and we'll cut to the inside where we were talking. So Kadison, again, if you guys recall from your time in Westgate, was seen about the town with quite the entourage of folks, and he was gathering, buying up, and bringing a lot of books, documents, and things such onto this vessel that you finally figured out he was traveling on, simultaneous to your own journeys. Kadison is, again, a human, and he wears dark robes. You do see some emblems and patterns on some of his gear that gives you the sense that it is very high quality, extremely high quality, and that he prefers to look nondescript. So you're pulled into the room and the door is shut behind you. Kadison is looking over some papers on his table and looks up at the lot of you and addresses you after a long pause where he looks at each of your faces for a moment. He seems like he's studying each of your faces, and then he collects his thoughts and starts and says, you have been followed by several groups throughout the recent days. I'm sure even your eyes are aware of some of that. One of those organizations that's been following you has even been my own, because one can never be too safe in these times. So as you see, I am Kadison, and I represent King Azun IV of the Kingdom of Cormyrean. I am an advisor in his royal court, and I serve as a diplomat of sorts to the kingdom. And unfortunately, that is a tenuous position in these deadly times. My information indicated that you were all traveling on separate business, but lately we've seen you moving about together in Westgate and now on this ship. We've grown suspicious of your actions, and I'd like for you to explain yourselves and what is your business together, and what compels you to be aboard this ship.
Coincidence makes for strange bedfellows, sir. And honestly, we just seek answers. I look over at Valor. Do you want me to show him?
So
I'm fine.
He raises his sleeve up and shows him the tattoo. This showed up the other morning before we got on the boat. Or, I guess...
This morning. Or,
this morning.
Yeah, first morning.
His face changes noticeably, and from more of a stoic, authoritative looking demeanor to a very piqued interest. And as he looks at your arm from afar, he does not move towards you or anything like that. He says, "Are you all bonded?" And he's motioning to the rest of you if you've been marked as well.
I don't know. It's a tattoo, but we have no idea what it means or how it got there. Because we've only just met in the last day or two before coming, as soon as we came in Westgate.
So, yeah,
we all seem to be finding that we are heading for the same boat. So, friends of circumstance, as it were. And now it seems that we have a common purpose because of the tattoo and its unknown and mysterious purpose. And now you say bonded to whom or what?
I wish that it were simply ink on your skin, friends, but I'm afraid it is not. It is much more than that. And at this point, I think most of you, or any of you who are actively showing your forearm to Kadison, you're noticing that the marking looks duller to you, and it's a little bit maybe itchy, but it just seems like it's not burning anymore, and it's got this dull kind of opaqueness to it versus when you first saw it and it was very shiny. And so you guys all notice that at this point, and as you're asking him this question as well. And so he steps to the side for a second and grabs a book, as it would be, and just begins to flip through it for a second, and he's talking to himself and mumbling, and could be, and seems to be studying it for a moment. If you all have anything else that you'd like to say or add to him or to each other before
Someone says the priest of Lathander?
Yeah.
Said that some of the markings looked Thayan. If that helps at all.
So he slams his book shut as you finish saying that, and he sets it down, and he says, who else knows of these markings other than these Lathander clerics?
Just the one cleric.
And the
Us.
bartender, right?
No.
We didn't show him. That's right.
I think everyone's got long sleeves anyway, or at least
that's
the
right.
forearms covered. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No.
he kind of grabs, I'm going to say the closest person's arm. I don't know who that would be, but I'll kind of start with you, Kermwin, that he just sort of, because you were the first to show him, he reaches and grabs your forearm and pulls it down towards the table. And as he's looking at it, he takes what looks like just like a piece of wood that was sitting on the table and rubs it on there, and that it peels away, and that there's some sort of layer of almost like a skin over top of it that just peels away, and then underneath that layer, it looks like it looked the day you got it. And so all of you notice that and start to scratch at your own, and you notice that it has this layer that's now removed from the marking. And again, if you guys want to see it, it is in I think it's in the party notes actually, where you can see it, and it talks a little bit about what it looks like. So again, the light reflects off of it again after this happens, and in total darkness it has a very minor illumination that's noticeable, like a candle almost, even less than that. But so he obviously is looking at this on you and says, "You fools have been marked. You are bonded together, whether you know it or not, and you have been bonded by the fire knives. They are a rising alliance that stands against the kingdom of Cormyr. Their desire is to usurp King Azun IV, who I serve, and overrule his peace and law in this region in favor of their chaos and evil. This branding that sits on your arm are symbols of the Zentarum, a group of evil from Fae, as you say, and your cleric is aware that in these times is seeking war with my kingdom. It appears that this bond that is on your arms will control your actions in some way. You will find yourself in certain situations that you will not be able to control your actions, and I'm afraid that this curse may follow you for the rest of your lives."
And there's no escape from it.
There may be a way, but it would require some study and some means, which, by the looks of you, I'm not sure you have. I may be able to help, but at this point, you cannot be trusted. With those bonds on your arm, you are too great of a risk to this ship and my mission. I cannot allow you to remain on this ship any longer.
All things considered, that sounds understandable. Drop us at the next point of land, which is where?
So you see him actually. He has a map of Faerun already out on his table of your region, and I'll cut over to this map in a second. Let's see, just want to make sure if there's anything else. Yeah, I think what you notice is that his reaction feels harsh and firm, and that after a moment you see his face soften as he's absorbing it, and his tone changes, and he speaks again before talking about the map to say, look, my friends, I'm afraid you are all victims of circumstance. Your proximity to me and my entourage has put yourselves in this position, and I understand that you were in the wrong place at the wrong time. You've simply done nothing wrong, but please understand that these bonds on you make you a threat to myself and my cause, and we're at a perilous time that I cannot risk it. I am headed towards Raven's Bluff. This is where I'll cut to the map, if I can find it. So let me move the ship along here, because you guys are over a day in, and you are past Starmantle, in the midst of entering towards the Isle of Presper over the next couple of days. Your path, I think, if I can draw it again, was to continue in this
Straight
direction.
to Procampur?
Yeah. So that's your current that was the ship's itinerary, and yeah, the feet are not correct, but that is the direction. And this is you're all aware of that. You're all aware of where you're at, and the fact that you haven't gone very far from Westgate. You're only like a day into this trip. I think this is where he's going to share with you. Look, I am heading to Raven's Bluff, and he points out where Raven's Bluff is. So he's ultimately traveling on to Raven's Bluff, and I'm headed to Raven's Bluff to bring word of this growing threat against our kingdom, and to seek their aid and counsel on defending Cormyr and this region, which is why I cannot deviate from this course, nor risk having those bonded by the fire knives in my midst, or in Raven's Bluff during the council. I think, again, I understand the position that we're in, and I may have an opportunity for you to both get off the ship and prove that you are loyal to the interests of the kingdom of Cormyr, and at least not opposed to them. And if you would be interested in performing a task that would help advance our cause, then I would aid you in removing your curse and help find those responsible for it. But there is a lot of risk involved, and even with your numbers, I'm not sure you can overcome your inexperience.
We can only try. Our other course then would be to be lost to the fire knives. And I would prefer not to be lost to the fire knives. I'd rather die trying against it.
Lucky favors the bold.
The kingdom of Cormyr is a respectable nation, and I know they fostered many refugees from Cormanthor whenever the Elven Kingdom fell a few years back. If you are who you say you are, I'll risk the task to get this foul thing removed from my arm.
You are wise, Sir Elf. I think it is in all of our best interest to act this way, and the king will be approving of this if we can find some information that helps. Let me get somebody else to help set the stage here for this task. He goes over to the door and opens the door, calls out to someone standing outside the door, and a few minutes later, into the room with you all. I'll switch back to the room and add him in there. Let's see, does this work? Oh, that is not what I wanted. Into the room comes Captain Winnick, who I will find his picture and throw him in here in a moment. But it looks like that Captain Winnick and Kadison seem to know each other, and at this point you start to notice that Captain Winnick's, if I can find him, oh, I know where he's at. He's on my other scene. 1 second, guys.
So our coordinator is actually our captain.
Our cargo master is in fact the captain.
Yeah, so Winnick comes into the room, and you guys start to notice as he comes into the room a little bit of likeness between Kadison and Winnick. They have some similar facial features. Even some of Winnick's clothing has some of the same sort of embroidered logos and patterns, even though it's not of the same quality or hasn't been kept up. It looks very weathered and aged. So you notice that at this point, and Winnick comes in to the room, and Kadison turns to him and says, "We may have the right fools for the job," and points to your arm, showing Winnick what's the label on your arm, and he just starts shaking his head and almost laughing a little bit out loud when he sees it. And so he seems to have a completely different demeanor than Kadison about it, and not necessarily doesn't seem as serious about it, but he notices obviously the situation. And so Kadison sits down and lets Winnick step up and point at the map and start talking about this task. And Winnick points to the map and he says, "There's a tribe of sea devils that we've been tracking for some time. Some of the crew like to call them fish heads. But no matter the case, they've been buying up books and scrolls and manuscripts, and it's been selling at a record pace on the black market, of which I've been dabbling. And these sea devils are not really known for their fondness of literature. So it strikes myself and Kadison as odd that they would want to be acquiring all of these manuscripts and books. So we have an arrangement where we will be meeting with their representative tomorrow evening near the Isle of Presper. And when we approach that meeting point, we will exchange goods with them for said price. That's where you come in, Kadison. And so he steps back, and Kadison steps forward again and says, first he looks at you and says, look, despite Winnick's untoward appearance and his coordinator title, he was in fact a former admiral in the Blue Dragons in Cormyre's Imperial Navy, and my brother. I trust him with my life, and though his judgment has had him exiled from the kingdom of Cormyre, he still serves us in this capacity. He has uncovered this presence of these, as he likes to call them, sea devils. But as you may or may not know of them, they are a Sahuagin, and they are a fish people who live in the isle, near the Isle of Presper, we believe. We need you to find where they are going and what they are doing with these manuscripts. Something is wrong if they are coming up with the funds that they are to buy these things. And again, it makes no sense to any of us why they would want them or need them.
What sort of information is it?
It unfortunately seems to be that any text of history, any text of related to magics, and any texts related to specifically Faerun are being sought after. So it's not specific to any one theme, but there are some overarching themes there.
Regardless of language.
So there are several languages that they want the books in mostly, and Elven is one of the languages that are acceptable, and there's a couple of others that seem to be that they want more than others. They're trying to just basically feed them all kinds of stuff and see what they'll pay more for. And so far, it seems like those things I mentioned are the things they're mostly interested in. Anything with history, anything dealing with magic or arcane knowledge seems to be of interest, and then Faerun, knowledge of Faerun. So
Sounds like they're looking for something.
Something old and powerful, maybe.
Something forgotten.
now we are looking for them. And if you will help us find this and inform us of what you found, that is when I will serve you my word that I will help you with the curse on your arms. And it will be no small feat, but I will help you find out how we can remove this curse. And I will, of course, help you find who did this, because we have a common enemy. If you are interested, I can provide you with more information. If you're not, then we will find the nearest port and we will drop you there.
Someone looks to everyone else. Sounds like I need help.
I'm in.
Finding things is my specialty. So
My
I
lady
have a,
seems to have chosen to draw me close, and I cannot deny her.
I mean,
Wish to be dropped at the nearest port. I do desire to know more about these fire blades.
Knives. The fire
Knives?
knives. Yeah, fire knives.
Yes, please.
He again, I think at this point, Kadison would be the one who would have the knowledge, and so he'll give you more information if you've got a specific question, or was there something you wanted to ask specifically about the fire knives?
I do
they are
desire
some
to
sort
know
of a guild,
these.
Assassin's Guild, something like that.
how do they?
Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, how do they serve the kingdom of Thay? Like, what is the relationship there, because that's what the symbol is, right?
The symbols are actually different symbols from the Zentarum.
Oh,
And the Zentarum are the central evil here that come from Thay and are attached to Thay. And so I think essentially what he can tell you about them is that they are diametrically opposed to law and good from his standpoint, and that the kingdom of Cormyr is one that's known for not being heavy-handed, but having a fairly good reputation for law and order, and a large monarchy that that the people there actually like, and so some of the nations in the region along the inner sea have completely different regimes, and the Zentarum are essentially in this region the root of all evil, in the sense that they are looking for chaos, they are engaged in necromancy and other things, and some of those symbols that are on your bonds that you have on your arms are Zentarum symbols for some of those different beliefs and practices that they have. He doesn't maybe have the knowledge to tell you what each of those symbols mean at this moment, but that's something that he's willing to help you with if you follow through with the cause or the task. I think,
Seems we have fishmen to hunt.
and I think at
Yep.
this point he would point out to you that you should not attempt divination on your arms and on these bonds, and any attempt to do could come at your own peril. And you can sense from that, those of you who have spellcraft, that Kadison must have some spellcraft ability and knowledge as well to say something like that. And so he's warning you all not to do any divination to yourselves or your arm, and that potentially could cause you harm. So that's the other piece of information he would share. Let's see. Any other questions before he has some other facts he can give you.
Was anyone else in the tavern marked that he knows of? Or just us?
I know of nobody else that was marked, but I believe that you were targeted because I had a lot of people there in the tavern, and I think that perhaps you were confused as being a part of that group. That's my suspicion, because why else would they have tagged you with this bond that opposes my kingdom, when apparently all of you have really nothing to do directly with it. That's my only conclusion at this point, is that you are unfortunate receivers of this, due to your proximity to myself and my group, and us going through this charade to buy all of these books certainly didn't keep us out of eyesight in a place like Westgate. So if everyone's agreeing, and it sounds like we have a consensus, Winnick is going to talk for a second about coming back to get you, and both of the guys are going to be talking to you about this. And Kadison sets an amulet on the table. It is like a silver looking star that's attached to a silver chain. He says, one of you will take this with you, and it will help us find you when we return to this region in 3 days' time. And if you return, then we will take you to Procampur, to your destination, where we will arrange for you to have a meeting, and we'll proceed with the agreement that we spoke about. And so he sets the amulet on the table, and again, it's just one amulet, so it's you guys will have to decide who wants to wear that, but that is their ability to locate you. And
I'll put it in my session. It's a waist wrapping that has a ton of hidden pockets all the way through it. It just disappears.
And then he also says that we want to contribute to your cause and success, and we'll also be giving you some of these potions that may help you in the situation that you'll find yourselves in. And so he puts a handful of potions down on the table, actually 6 potions to be exact, and 3 of the potions are potions of healing, and 3 of the potions are potions of water breathing. So I'll let you guys decide how you want to sort through those things at this point, and then I'll talk a little bit about what's next and the plan, so to speak.
I already have a potion of healing. I don't know if
Does anyone not have a potion of healing?
I don't have one.
I do have spell can cure as well as a healing ability. So
I've got a healing potion. So who doesn't have one?
The only
I don't-
problem with the
Me,
Well,
Yeah,
Ronnie
I
gets
didn't-
one.
So Ronnie,
Ronnie gets one. Kerwin will take one because I didn't take the pack with one. And the healer needs one on his person in case one of us goes down and he doesn't have a spell on him.
Yeah.
yeah. Very
So,
well.
Or
When he
just to
went
keep
to-
the healer alive, as the case may be,
Or
too.
to keep the healer alive, yes.
Guard him with my life.
And I guess the rest of us get the water breathing.
I'm sorry, who was gonna wear the amulet? One's got it? Okay. Alright. Perfect. Alright. We'll switch back to the map here again, and actually this might have been the wrong map, but you can no, you can't see it on here. Okay. There's another map. 1 second. Alright, so the exchange is tomorrow night, and my men will be sending signal from the top of our mast to them, and all I know is that once we make contact with them, their ship will sail to our starboard side, and we will exchange the goods and the funds across the rail. And in that time, we can talk about tactics that you may want to take in order to track them and follow them. But first is the map. This is a huge map. I think you got to zoom way out.
Yeah.
And there is the Isle of Presper, and then there's Traitor's Isle. And there's a couple. I think there's some information in the local knowledge handout on the places, and some of you probably have had rumors and things like that of these places. What you know is that the Isle of Presper is got two major settlements on it. One is a Sembian settlement that's in the southeast, and then there is a Cormyrean kingdom of Cormyr city that's in the east, or the west. I'm sorry, I'm getting it wrong here. West and east. And then as far as what's in between on the Isle of Presper, it's an unoccupied territory, and there's been some posturing between the kingdom of Cormyr and the Sembians over that land. But at this point, they're more allies than they are anything else. But you understand it complicates their relationship, and maybe people who are from those places look at each other with a little bit of disdain because of this territory and the control of it. Traitor's Isle the story with Traitor's Isle is that there was a high wizard who worked for the kingdom of Cormyr. His name was Jorhundast, or Jorhund, and Jorhund was a human mage who was in the royal court, and he was accused of betraying the king, and he was exiled to this island to serve a sentence that he has about 30 more years of to serve. So he is, by rule of Cormyrean law, supposed to be left to himself on that island and not disturbed or dealt with. And that's lore that you would have maybe general knowledge of, or Kadison would certainly tell you about Jorhundas, because he's a traitor in his eyes, and that was why they called it Traitor's Isle. So he has a tower on the island that was built and that he occupied when he was sent there. And basically, there seems to always be fog and mist and gloom, and the bottom line is that no one has seen this man in many years, and that no one has any real reason to go and see him until his sentence is served. Those are some of the things that you would know about that are going on in this area. You also know about pirates that are in this territory, in and out of these channels and moving around in the open water, so that's ever present as well. Those are some of the things that you know. And as far as this situation is concerned, the Isle of Presper is believed to be where these Sahuagin are taking their goods, and that's where you guys can strategize potentially how you want to pursue them and figure out what they're doing.
Where is the meeting taking place with respect to this map?
Yeah, so the meeting will be just in this northwest waters, these northwestern waters, several miles northwest of the Isle of Presper. And that's where you'll be tomorrow evening. So it's supposed to be a full moon tomorrow evening, and that makes the transfer easy for the humans who are on the crew. And so they have that figured out, that they're making the exchange during the full moon tomorrow evening. Let's see, what else is there to tell you?
So we're meeting another ship, right?
Winnick is, right? Winnick is essentially he's fallen off the rails after being kicked out of the Cormyrean Navy, and he's a little bit of a shyster and traitor and works in the black market. And when he discovered this demand for this information coming from this group, he told his brother, and his brother, who still works, Kadison, who still works for or is employed by and loyal to the court of Cormyr, he became very interested in it and decided to help set the bait a little bit to see if they couldn't figure out what these guys are doing with it. So that's the circumstance as you understand it.
Basically like a sting, as far as I understand, right?
Yeah, they weren't going to sting them. They were just trying to get more information. But now that they're going to kick you off the boat, they're thinking, well, why don't you just do something risky so we don't have to?
Infiltrate. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of the circumstance for sure. And
my character will add.
Go ahead.
So, you think I'm going to sneak aboard this other vessel in the dead of night?
Yep.
Well,
That's your intent?
my intent is to figure out what they're doing. The way in which and manner in which that you do it is your choice. We will aid you and advise you. I don't know that I would advise that specifically. I think there are other options, and we can talk about those options and work together for the one that seems the most logical.
Can you get us to this Isle of Presper in between now and the time that you're going to meet with them tomorrow night?
No. The closest will be to the Isle of Presper is when we'll meet them. They will meet us at that point. We won't be able to get ahead of them unless we have perfect sailing conditions, which we just never know these things until tomorrow.
We'd lose their tail anyway if we didn't.
But yeah, the problem becomes being able to follow them. We don't have another boat. So either, we do have to get aboard their boat or take their boat.
So there is another asset that we can provide as well. We do have a small boat on the top deck that can fit 8 people in it. Probably eight normal people and a halfling maybe. But if you want to take that boat for some reason.
3 of us are elves and a small girl, so yeah, we could easily fit comfortably on that boat. Anyone have rope use or boating?
Interesting amount of silence there.
That is one people don't normally take, man. That's like one you do when you're running out of choices. Rope use is definitely a common one, but any of the
Not
other
boating.
stuff, boating, yeah.
I was thinking if we could sneakily tie off while they're.
I'll ask another
exchanging
question.
goods.
Like, who has swimming? Probably none of you. I haven't even
I
looked.
thought about it, but
Yeah. There's another.
Nobody wear your
I believe I have
armor,
it.
right?
what armor?
And you can't swim in armor, right?
No metal armor, no.
I'm pretty sure.
No, not metal.
No metal armor. Oh, okay.
The heavier it is, the harder it is.
Anything metal, like chainmail and up, you just sink.
There's 2 possibilities. We either leave the boat prior to the meeting and try and go around probably southbound so that we can watch from afar towards the Presper Isle side.
That's your boat, by the way. If it's on the top deck, so it can be lowered from the top deck if you guys decide to use it. So just so you're aware.
Because then we hopefully can be off in the darkness a little bit. There's going to be lights on the boat so they can find each other. So we can probably watch. And if they have a boat, they're going to have lights going in towards the Isle of Presper. So we'd either have to try and keep up, but it's only a 2-mile stretch. So we might be able to find out where they're landing and arrive later, and then figure out what's going on. Rather than trying to tie off directly to their boat at the meeting. They're going to be hyper vigilant at that point at the meeting, whereas approaching the meeting, not so much, and maybe not as much leaving it. So my idea is, let's get in the boat, we'll get off before the meeting, head south so we can watch the 2 boats approach, and then follow them in after the trade takes place. That way we don't have to swim in armor and all kinds of fun stuff either. Get to the land and then whack them.
Well, another thought. If they had any empty crates, they could just crate us and move us over. We're already on the boat. We just stay in place until they unpack us.
Unless
they don't look.
Expect the cargo, right?
Yeah. That's the risk.
So
well, that's a good question.
Winnick will kind of chime in on some of the thoughts to give you some feedback and let you know that they do spot check the cargo. Doesn't think they go top to bottom through it by any means, but he knows they spot check, and probably doesn't have enough space to fit all 6 of you into the cargo without that being really risky, but could make enough room maybe for a couple and maybe get away with it, is how he feels about it.
I like that kind of risk.
Does it make sense to have to sneak someone aboard? I know that it's dangerous to.
You might actually hear something in their unguarded conversations, and or be able to steal a map or take a look at one even.
Or
But it would be up to our more stealthy people like Ronnie and someone else, perhaps. But I suggest maybe 1 or 2 of you, and the rest of us take the boat, because we got to pick you up and whatnot at some point.
I ask Winnick, what do they use to track the star?
What do they use to track the star?
Yeah.
The amulet. Yeah, that Kadison has the ability to detect through a spell. So he can.
I could use the amulet and go with the cargo, so
it wouldn't do us specifically any good, because this boat's leaving when they leave. I was thinking if it was an item, we could stuff him in the box with the star and then just find out wherever he is later.
If one of you had detect object or something like that too, maybe you could do that with any object. That's essentially what he's doing at a wider range, so you guys wouldn't have any ability to track it yourselves without that spell.
I don't have that ability.
I didn't take locate object, no.
It's also possible that they shield, depending on their ability with magic.
Yeah.
How hard is it to track? I know nothing about boating. How hard is it to track a boat at night to keep your distance? But are there lights on the ship? If we want to follow this vessel to see where they're going, at least.
Is there a moon tonight?
So there's a moon.
Well, there's full moon.
You'll have the light of the moon. You will also, unfortunately, encounter rocks, and so that's one of the reasons we can't get the ship much closer anyway to that northwestern shore. And the area between Traitor's Isle as well is just filled with rocks and things that are treacherous for a large vessel. So they don't have a lot of knowledge of what is inside of some of those regions. I think Kadison would have been someone who has visited Presper before on official business, and it would have been a quick hit and go. And there is a way to get to the settlements there, but that's not necessarily accessible to
Sanguine.
the direction you're going. They don't have a ton of knowledge of that particular region, but you'll be able to see by the moonlight for sure, to a certain extent, to a certain range.
They said that the guy that lives on Traitor's Isle, that Jordan or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Jorhund, yeah.
He's not allowed to have any contact with outside.
No. He's supposed to be in seclusion, and there's not a lot really known about what he does to stay busy.
Oh.
It's very doubtful that these Sahuagins would be taking these items, these scrolls and these manuscripts, to the town that's loyal to Cormyrean on the Isle of Presper.
Exactly Kadison's thoughts as well.
And if Jortun is a high-level mage, or a powerful mage, powerful elves can command monsters and charm animals to do all sorts of things. So it wouldn't be untoward to think that maybe that he's using these fish people to gather his information.
They're getting something for their trouble. But they probably, being water creatures in part, they probably know the route through the rocks for the ship to take. So, how close can we get to the ship without being seen, and can we attempt to go through the same route?
You'll be on a much smaller ship. The ship that they're coming in is like a, what is that called? Like a sloop, a thinner, much smaller ship than the galleon you're on currently. And then the boat that you would be taking, the smaller vessel, is even much smaller than that. You would certainly have ability to avoid rocks even more so than them. You'll just move probably slightly slower.
Tell me, what exactly do I have to discover about these Sahuagin's business to get you to aid me in the removal of this curse?
Your friend, and he's pointing at Kermwin, is his suggestion that Jorhund is somehow associated with this is perhaps the most concerning implication, and of course the worst case scenario. So if you can either confirm or deny that information, that would be valuable to the Kingdom of Cormyr to know that. Furthermore, there could be another route for this that is unknown, and due to its proximity to our settlement in the Isle of Presper, we would like to know what exactly it is that the Sahuagin are seeking and doing with this knowledge.
Very well, then.
The information is the key. We can always find more gold.
I don't necessarily want to cut things off, but in the interests of speeding things up a little bit, it sounds like a plan is taking shape. That's the color. So it seems like
sure.
I don't want to jump in if people have other ideas, but it sounds like we are liking this idea of waiting offshore and possibly having Ronnie or myself also sneak aboard. Does that seem like...
Oh, you're a ranger, aren't you?
I like that plan.
Okay.
Yeah, so I could also...
I have no stealth whatsoever. Yeah.
My character hates the idea of sneaking, but you guys can do what you need to do. She won't say anything about it.
Skills in being sneaky, but likes the idea of some subterfuge and...
You never know what you guys could find, really.
Good practice, right?
Yeah.
We're just there to pick you up.
Yeah.
All that we can plan ahead will be foiled. It's given, it's granted. You just don't worry how much our plans will be foiled, how much trouble we will find, but everything's gonna be, it's not gonna be alright.
It'll be all right, or we'll roll new characters, one or the other.
Right, and I need to add backup PC character sheets to everybody's folder so you have that comfort blanket to fall back on. But yeah, I think at this point, Kadison and Winnick are obviously really actually pleased that you're taking on interest in the task, and they're a little bit surprised by your courage. And I think that they're both secretly rooting for you, but you sense that they're not too sure of your skill level and your inexperience and your numbers.
Courage.
So yeah, your courage, you got courage. But so they essentially end the meeting here, and Winnick takes you out into the ship and shows you the
Which
location.
end goes down for the boat?
He shows you where the cargo is that's being held for the exchange, and he points to these areas in here, that there's several crates in this section, and then up in the front the crew is sitting on the other herd of things. And so if you guys want to do anything regarding that, that's the stuff that's going to get moved tomorrow night. He points that out. And again, he takes you to the top deck. He shows you the boat as your other resource. And anything else, I think, before again, you've got another day to go before you're at that point. And we'll cut maybe to that scene where you guys are going to be retiring for the evening and maybe having your own internal dialogue about your strategy, that sort of thing. So I think that's probably where we're at now. And then if there's anything that you want to accomplish on the next day, we'll roll to see what the sailing conditions are like. But you guys are back under the ship. You've been given all this information. You've got your potions and your amulet and your task in front of you. So anything you guys want to cover?
Yeah, Bartholomew would just want to double check and make sure that while we're off on this mission, that they will look after our mounts that are stationed on the ship and make sure that nothing untoward happens to them. And in the meantime, before they come to retrieve us again,
yes, they will take your livestock and they will actually keep it in Procampur for you when you arrive there, and they'll make sure that there's arrangements for them to be cared for until you arrive.
Well, that's a good question. How are we going to get back to the Osprey?
They will find us with the as long as the party has the medallion, they will find us whenever they're coming back through.
In 3 days' time. Yeah, after the exchange, they're gonna send a ship back for you in 3 days' time to find you at the same point, essentially, where they've dropped you, and start to look for you there. So if you're in a mile or two range from there, they're expecting to be able to find the wearer.
We need to be in the water about within a mile of the exchange point, roughly.
Exactly.
Okay.
In 3 days.
Yep.
Yeah.
3 days from midnight tomorrow. Ish.
We should probably put together a small box with a false top, so when they open it, they see some books, and then Ronnie's hiding underneath.
Yeah,
that way they can look in the box and not see Ronnie.
I was thinking Ronnie in one box, Nate in the other. We follow as swiftly as we can. Their boat will outrun us. We will lose sight of it.
I agree.
But we hover out from shore just out of sight line, and once they're free and clear, they can light a lantern or something. Hey, we're over here, and now we know where to go.
Yeah. We can have a signal. Prepare for that.
We'd have to be real discreet with that signal, but a lantern or something.
I was thinking a hooded lantern, like signal it a few times, or
because you can direct the light a little bit better, right?
That's good.
Yeah,
you can blink.
If things go really south, just set everything on fire, and we'll know where to come.
Does anybody have a mirror or a reflective surface if the moon's going to be out?
I have a mirror.
I have a mirror.
Okay, then that's a real quick way to do it, right?
Yeah.
True.
We can set their boat on fire in this case scenario. Worst case scenario.
Like I said,
I'm sure you'll find it.
Worst case scenario, just light everything on fire.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we'll come swoop you up.
Do we have time to construct a box with the false bottom? Because that's a great idea.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what we'll do is again, you're gonna reach the point where you're gonna need rest tonight. So this is where if we want to employ your watch order, your first watch order, and then the next day, if you guys want to take steps to build those crates, you would have pretty much the full day to accomplish that, and we can talk through those things. Is that what you guys want to do? Sounds like it.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll use your watch order from the party rolls, and I'll just grab that real quick.
I might ask just to know what is the general climate and conditions of the water if someone were to happen to fall into the sea or jump into the sea. Is it cold to the point where they'd be in danger, or is this more of a
Good question.
tropical area? Or
yeah, good question. It's fortunate for you. It's more of a temperate climate, but because it's one of the warmer months, the water temperature is comfortable enough that you could be in there without hypothermia or anything like that being a factor. The water conditions are, beyond that though, pretty treacherous, but the temperature is not really much of a concern.
I'll probably keep my spell layout as it is then.
Okay. All right. Gonna just roll through the watches. Does anybody want to state anything specifically before we process this?
Has anyone else heard of weird language towards the bottom of the ship that they just don't understand?
I did as well.
Archer-wise, I would say no, I've not, but
Couldn't tell who's even speaking
betray
it.
me.
But tell me more.
Yeah,
this is interesting.
Unless my eyes would betray me, I thought I saw some creature here with a tail.
Saw a creature with a tail, and I'm hearing a voice in a language I don't understand and can't find where the language is coming from.
Is it possible there might be spies aboard this ship?
Maybe
I
the
wouldn't put it past them.
And should we maybe try to find that out tonight? Or gather some information?
Since I won't be sleeping until the middle of the night, I could go nose around. But I know Ronnie's going to have to sleep. Poor halflings need their 8 hours.
Well, I'm happy to.
I sleep half hours.
I guess I'll just give each of you a chance if there's anything you want to do during your shift. I'm
We'll do it.
going to do it. Are we just doing a straight order, or is there some? How is the overlap going to work? Who is up during this first segment of the watch? I see Bart, and is it Bart and Kurza, or is it just Bart?
I guess it's Bart and Kurza.
Yeah,
Doubling up, right?
Yeah.
And then it becomes Kurza and Lay. And is that kind of how it goes? Is that each person takes 2 turns? Because you need to cover 8 hours for the halfling and the humans, right?
Yeah.
6, 8.
Like if let's see, Nate's asleep. Like if Nate sleeps first, Kerwin is up wandering, doing whatever, while Kurza and Bart are on their shift. And then when Nate wakes up for his shift and Kerwin goes down, that still leaves Nate and Kurza up. And then Kurza goes to sleep later. So you always have an extra.
Yeah, I can see that. So I'll just say we're going to have 4 shifts, 4 2-hour shifts. And I'll just ask you guys who's up, and I'll roll to see what's happening. So the first shift is Bart and Kurza, and Kerwin, you're up as well?
Yeah.
All 3 of you? Okay. All right.
We can always split. One stay with the group and one wander a little bit into another part of the ship, but maybe within eyesight.
That's the idea.
Yeah, be careful.
As long as it's within eyesight of the other awakened, we can poke about.
So you guys, basically the first hour goes by uneventfully, but during the second hour, you see some of the other passengers that were staying on the ship are coming back down to the bottom level. Some of them look like they were gambling with the crew upstairs, and they're talking about their losses that they have basically incurred some expenses and complaining about that. Nothing particularly stands out to you about those individuals that walk by, but it starts to settle down again, and it comes to the end of your shift. And so the second set of hours is who? Lay and
Yeah, Lee wakes up for her shift and wonders if those dwarves that were sleeping in that skinny rat sleeping chamber are marked with this too.
Wisdom.
so during your shift, you want to try to learn more about that? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not sure if she would like. She's not really into sneaking around,
Yeah.
but if somehow their arm did become visible, she might have a reason to go over to where their rack is and just pretend she's had a reason for being there and take a look.
Okay. Yeah, so like a nonchalant approach and casual, just to see if they let their guard down and show. So yeah, you can do that. We'll essentially, if you want, you're not trying to be unnoticed necessarily. You're almost really using, in my mind, your charisma a little bit to not be an annoyance to them, right? And to be very casual. You want to make a charisma check, and we'll see how they interpret your approach, and then I'll tell you what.
I would make it look like I'm just kind of stretching my legs or something, DM Jamie, when the time comes. And I would definitely not just go straight to them. I would walk back and forth, maybe up both aisles or whatever they're called in here.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Do you want a reaction adjustment or just charisma? There you go.
Yeah, you can try that. Yeah, so, yeah, I would say that basically you are able to move over there and stretch, and it looks very casual, very normal to them. They carry their conversation on, in fact, in front of you, knowing that you're there listening to them. But at that point, I think they would probably be speaking in Dwarven because they're no longer talking to the others who weren't dwarves. And if you want to observe their arms, let me see. One of them is not wearing any sleeves, and you can see his forearm very clearly, both of his forearms very clearly. You do not see any marking or covering or anything along those lines. The other one's arms are covered up.
Now that would be enough for her just to continue with her stretching, and she would even nod at them. Yep. And she doesn't speak dwarf, so she's out of luck on trying to eavesdrop even. I doubt she would do it, but she might. Who knows?
Okay.
Desperate times.
Is anyone else up at this point with me?
Hers is probably still awake.
Okay. All right. Again, nothing's going on here out of the ordinary. And we are on to the middle shift, so I think it's Ervalor and...
Now, what is back here at the back of the ship? Is this a separate area, or is it connected openly to the rest of the ship? The number 30.
You're talking about the 30 room? Yeah, there's a door. There's a door there, and you've seen the crew go in and out of there a few times, and it seems to be a catch-all storage space as far as what you've seen when the door cracks open. All right. For those of you who are up on that shift, you guys really start to get the sense that there are some folks whispering in the front side of the ship that may be the situation like what Kermwin had heard, a language that you don't even recognize. You couldn't even guess what the language is. It sounds so odd to you. So you guys are able to hear that, and it's coming from that side of the ship.
Which side?
Can we identify people in proximity to that?
Yeah, you basically 1, 2, 3, 4. It sounds like this corner is where somewhere where that conversation's taking place. It's very hushed. You can tell that they're trying not to be heard, despite the fact that even if they were heard, you can't understand what the hell they're saying. So.
Unless any other people are up with me, right? Who's up with me? Is it just me?
Probably Kurza.
Kurza. Okay. Then I am going to tell Kurza, like, wait here. And I am going to, because it looks like the lantern is, like, on this side of the ship. Oh, I thought I could click and make, like, little circles appear. But I was going to sneak up, like, the other...
Oh, you can if you have your pointer selected. And you
Do I have my
that.
pointer? Select. Here, let me see.
Yeah, just hold your left down, and it makes the ding.
I'm trying. That's weird. It might have... Anyway, I want to... The northern side of the ship seems way more concealed in shadows, right? And it's like... It looks like I'd be behind these barrels, be able to easily hide. So I want to sneak up a little bit, move unnoticed.
Go
Yes,
around that
right
dwarf
there.
side, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, exactly. Yes. Try to peek. I'm not going to understand what they're saying, but as long as Kurza's got his eyes on the party, like, I'm going to go wander and actually walk away.
Based on what we saw last night, are the 4 in the front there humans? Some other race, or
Yeah, if as far as
they
your
were out gambling?
as far as your observations, I don't think we covered that or before, but you would have by now seen that there were 2 dwarves, a couple of humans, and then a couple that you weren't entirely sure if they were human or elf or some other tall humanoid. So you don't have a full roll count of race, but you've sensed that mix so far. All right, Everlore is going to come along. Yeah, I think you would have, as an elf, you would have some ability to, if you're trying to move silently,
I have...
hide in shadows, one or the other, maybe.
Yeah, I have... My hide in shadows is a little bit better.
Okay.
Not great, but...
Yeah, and with the noise going on with the ship moving around, it makes more sense that you'd be trying to hide in shadows than be quiet. Yeah, we'll try that.
Let's try it. Let's do it. Let me see. I just have to...
Oh, you were 1 point over. You were 1 point over. You had a 30% chance that you rolled a 31. Yeah, so I think you get close and you start to peek around towards the origin of the conversation. And as you look back towards this corner, you see all 3 of these guys are looking at one another, and that they stop talking as one of them turns your direction as he noticed something out of the corner of his eye. And you're able to move and not draw too much attention directly to yourself, because it was a near miss or a near hit. But at the same time, they hushed their conversation. But you do get that information that it appears that the 3 of them were the origin of the conversation.
Did I see them? Did I see any tails, for instance, or anything like weird? That's what I actually wanted to see. Is like see their appearance, see anything.
They're actually, these 2 guys in the back are like sitting in their bed area, so you can't really see their shape so much. And it looks like all 3 of them are purposely hooded and purposely not trying to make a big appearance for themselves. So you do get that sense that they're acting a little bit odd. And so I assume as each of these shifts are happening on the ship, that you guys are relaying this information to one another.
I didn't really say anything about what I did just yet.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
But
okay,
I will at some point inform Kurza in almost perfect Elven that I did not see a tattoo on those dwarves that were with us in the Skinny Rat. So somehow discreetly, if that's even possible on a ship this size.
Sure.
But definitely an Elven.
Okay.
And I assume I'm not there to overhear it while I'm sneaking.
But I'll pass that along once I go into reverie for the night.
Yeah, when I make it back, I tell people I couldn't hear anything of interest. They might have noticed me.
But we now know who is doing the speaking.
Yes.
You did get a piece there for him. Yeah, it was fruitful to an extent. I think we're on the last group. I think it's down to...
Where exactly did you go?
So nothing else happens anyways. We're going to cut to the morning, and so you guys can share all this information with one another and have some dialogue about what you saw and what you want to do today. But we'll cut to the morning, and essentially you're right back in this spot, but you see the daylight creeping in from some of the spots above. Anything you guys would like to do? I think you were talking about the crates idea, but I want to give you a chance if there's any other things you want to do.
Yes.
I
So
think the crates would be a great way to get Ronnie on board. Of course.
and myself,
Okay.
Osborne.
Herbivore is going to go as well.
I think so.
But I have no idea how to make these crates, but I just...
Does anybody have carpentry?
Is there, what is the skill? Is it carpentry or woodworking or something?
Yeah, carpentry.
Well, I guess all we really need is an empty crate for each of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you have to build one from scratch and that you would need that. And not that even building a crate would be terribly difficult. You could make a crude crate with no experience probably. If you're just trying to adapt an existing crate and you guys want to
Take an extra
explain,
lid or something
yeah,
and make
explain how you're
the
doing
inset.
that. Yeah.
Make the
We
lid
would,
smaller and make an inset out of it. I'm thinking.
Would we want to ask Kadison or Winnick if they have anyone on board that's got carpentry skills to help make a
That's
false
my thought.
door or something? They're invested in this as well, so
Yeah. So if
they may
you
be
guys, if you,
inclined to help us out. But
I think you get the sense that the crew has those skill sets, that they would have rope use skill set, carpentry skill set, and some of those things. So I think you for sure know that he
Hope you.
does have.
I got hope you. I got hope you.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like you want to go and start on the crates. Was there, let's see, is it just then the two of you that you want to make crates for? It's 2 crates we want to make?
Yeah.
All right.
A shorty, stocky one, and a taller, skinny one.
Here, and again, we'll do 2 crates. Top deck, actually. All right, they're going to start to stage all of the gear up on the central part of the deck. You guys can work with the crew during the day to determine that. And if someone would like to roll the sailing conditions for this day as well, so while you're doing the building of the crates, this will be the conditions that you're dealing with.
What you need rolled?
If you go to, there's a macro under the collection tab in the upper right, and if
Gotcha.
you hit roll there, it should.
Sailing conditions.
Okay. Fair weather, choppy water, basically you're making the speed you needed to make. You're in good shape for making your meeting. Nothing to your advantage or nothing to catch up for. So you're in good shape there. As far as that's concerned, all of the gear is now loaded up to the top deck. If somebody would like to use the drawing tool, we can mark, or if you want to, actually, let me just move your characters up here. If you guys would like to place yourselves where you'd like to be, I think the idea is that maybe you're doing a dry run on what your plan is, and the crates again are going to be in the center of the ship to start, and they'll start passing them over this starboard side towards the Sahuagin.
If the crates are made, then
Yeah, I'm
if
gonna
this is the
roll.
dry
I'm gonna
run, I'll
roll
be
for how good they are and all of that, but
checking it
we'll
out.
assume
Yeah.
that they were makeable.
Okay. I will be testing the
Now,
ability to hide.
is this basically just a rowboat that we've got?
It is. It is.
Okay.
Yep.
That's actually good because then there's no sail to attract attention.
Also,
Uh,
But
the
you got
boat will
splash
sit
oars.
a little lower, but... And if we deploy before the meeting, then hopefully we'll get where we need to go.
I'll mention again that you guys would have noticed this, certainly would have noticed that there is what they call a shiver of sharks. So a small group of sharks that every time you've been up to the top deck, you've seen them there just following that side of the ship. And it seemed to just be a normal thing to some of the crew. Other members of the crew seem a little bit less welcoming to the idea, but it is there, and you guys would obviously notice that as you're doing your dry run, you would have seen them there as well.
Can I try my tracking to see if I can tell if someone's been throwing chum or something off the side, that side specifically?
Sure. Yeah. How about you go ahead and do a check, and we'll see if you can spot maybe something on the side of the ship that would indicate feeding or something like that. Yes. Good roll. You take a closer look, and you're trying to envision maybe where they could be dumping bait or something off of the side. You look up and down. Nothing seems out of the ordinary to you as far as that's concerned, or obvious as far as being fed from the top of the ship.
They're only on the side of the ship. They're not in front of the ship.
Yeah, they seem to stay parallel to the center and side of, I guess that's the port side. Yep.
Are these the same three I saw last night, or I'm sorry if I missed that detail. The ones that, the people speaking the strange language.
Oh, up here on the top of the
Yes.
ship? No, these are different.
Okay.
These are different people.
Different people, okay.
You haven't seen the same folks. You don't believe anyway. Yeah.
One of us should look around for them. Maybe. Either Ronnie or me. Or...
No, these are sharks or...
Yes, sharks. He said sharks.
Yeah, they appear to be sharks to you.
Oh my god.
They could be.
I'm sorry.
They could be pets. They could
Oh.
be.
Are they
Or
working with the... Do they ride them? And then these are just their mounts that are following the ship to see what it does? We might have to deal with them. Are they fairly large or small sharks?
They range from medium to large. The ones that you see, they're probably somewhere in the range of 10 to 15 foot, which is necessarily a large shark for this body of water, but a large shark nonetheless.
Would Ervalor detect if they are some kind different from the regular sharks? Or if they are executing some strange pattern or something like that?
That might be more of a task for our druid, but I don't think I have any proficiencies that pertain to that. Oh, wait, no, I've got animal... I don't think my animal empathy would cover that. It's more... Let me take a look. Real fast. I've got it somewhere.
Empathy, you decrease the reaction.
Yes, that's true. I would make them friendlier if they're wild. Wouldn't exactly be able to ride
But I
them.
think you are right. The druid is more equipped to deal with that.
Yes. I'm not going to be in the boat. So that changes things a little bit.
Yeah, so the two of you are going to position there. The rest are going to be on the boat. I take it. Are you planning to deploy the boat before the meeting? And was that what the idea was?
Before we get that far, GM Jamie, I'm sorry to step in. I don't think my character would be paying attention to the sharks or the box building, but trying to get this little boat secured that she's going to have to be out in the middle of the night and without any idea of how to navigate it. So she would be trying to, I don't know, get with Winnick or one of the other sailors to get some tips on how to deal with rowboating in the middle of the sea.
Yeah.
As much as she could.
Good call. Makra, one of the deckhands that helped you when you first boarded the ship, will tap him and send him over and tell him to literally show you the ropes. And so he'll go over and give you a breakdown of how the boat works so that you feel a little bit more confident on how to navigate. And he's going to essentially give you the tip that is that you'll want to stay, when you hold your fingers up between yourself and the boat you're following, you'll want to have 3 fingers between you and the horizon and them. And so he gives you a trick on the distance that he believes that you could safely stay behind them and not be detected. And that's his method that he gives you. So if you remember to do that while you're following, then he believes you'll be at a safe, undetectable distance.
Those are
Very
great things. And I will interact with this Macra character for most of the day, and also spend my time stowing some of our gear, our packs and whatnot in here, to make sure we've got all our things ready to go.
All right. What are the rest of you doing? Anybody have anything else they want to do before we cut to the actual actions that you'll take at the nighttime?
Actually, Lay has a very good idea there, and I'll probably do somewhat the same thing. Make sure my stuff is packed, and if I see that they're getting some training on how to use a boat, I'll definitely sit in on that.
Yeah, so you would get the same information from Macra about that, and just a great point there. Actually, I wanted to double check a few things. I know several of you had horses, and I did
Yes.
try to put horses into your folders, but I don't know if I've got them all in there. Can you guys remind me who has a horse so I can make sure I've got that? Bart, you had one, right?
Bart has what? It's the draft horse listed in here, but
Was
he's
that
got
what
a pony.
was that what you wanted? It was a pony. Okay, I'll make sure I get that fixed.
Yeah, Kerman's is just a normal riding horse.
Okay. Yeah, I'll fix the for right now, but I'll make a note of that. So those are staying behind, obviously. And then I think to the point here, is there anything else that you guys are not taking with you for any reason so that we have clarity on what it is you're leaving behind on the ship when you start the mission?
There is some limit to what I can take it with me in the crate.
All Kerman has is his backpack and his horse. So
Want
They've
anything
got,
carried on the
Say
ship?
in the crate.
I've got some supplies that were with my pony, but I don't think I will take them with. I'll probably leave them because they're too burdensome for me to carry alone.
Is there anything you need that has to be on the rowboat that you can't take with you?
Yeah, that maybe for Ervalor, because he's larger, it might be an idea to stow some of your things with the boat.
Yeah.
Versus Ronnie, who might be able to just have everything in there and still fit with extra room.
Yeah,
I
I've got
take my
three
bow
weapons
and my
on
arrow.
me.
Okay.
Let's see. I've got a long short sword and bow.
My bow and my arrow.
Bow would be tough, right? I assume it's
Yeah.
a longbow. Yeah, you're gonna be. That's a great point. I would entrust someone to carry that for you.
Yes. Mhm.
And anything else that you think might be too large.
If I can have my two swords on me, then I will take them. If not, then short sword should be able. Okay, then I'm bringing both of those.
Okay, and then your pack or like your general gear, you're gonna leave that as well.
I'm good. Can I, if there's room on the boat, if I can entrust it to Kerwin or somebody else?
I'll keep it on your bag and your bow.
Awesome.
Okay. All right.
Can you keep mine too?
He's asking if you can hold his too, Kerwin. Hold Ronnie's.
Keep your stuff. Not a problem.
Or Kurza's got it. Okay.
Make sure we have that.
Have space for my short bow.
Yeah, I'm sure we can find space to stow it somewhere.
It's way bigger than mine.
Are you asking if you can take the short bow in the crate? Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Or, that's a good question. Let's see if I can find the size of it. It seems like it might be a little difficult, but I don't know the exact size of it. If you want to look that up, we can find that out. And if it's
the size of the short bow.
Yeah. What is the size of the short bow?
It's a medium size.
Medium. Okay.
Weighs 2 pounds.
Hoping they had in the description how long typically those are. The crates are going to be like 3x3, and so in my mind, I think it could fit in there.
Right.
I think it could fit in there. I think with the lid, it's a little smaller than that with the fake lid that you've built, but I think you could reasonably get that in there. Longbow,
Okay.
I would think is like a 6-foot long weapon, and that's a lot more difficult. So
you have a bow anyway.
all right, so I think we're at a good break point here before we get into this next phase. So we'll take 10 minutes here and come right back and pick it up in our scene. How's that?
Yeah,
Sounds
short
good.
bows are only like 5 foot long when they're untethered.
Untethered.
So if you have it strung, it's about as tall as Ronnie is.
Yeah, he could
So-
wedge it maybe in there. Yeah.
Caddy corner.
Yeah, it might take a little doing, but I would imagine also that a short bow made for a halfling is slightly
Yeah,
smaller.
there's some
Oh yeah, it'd be
generic
maybe 3.5
information
foot
out here.
unstrung.
Mhm.
It says like the maximum length is considered 5 feet. Most are much smaller, around 3 feet.
Yep.
I'm not sure what game system that belongs to, but
That falls right in line with where my mind was on it, so I'm good
Yeah.
with him having it aboard. So cool. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and be right back. So thanks.
You said we're playing in 1350, right? Oh yeah, that's 6 years right after the fall of Myth Draenor. Talk
Yeah,
about a bucket.
there's a lot of cool stuff going on in this time period, and it's like the formation of a lot of different things.
Oh yeah, that's a whole bucket of XP right there. 'Cause everywhere you step is either a demon or a drow.
Yeah, that place is Driders and all of the Loth and everything that you've got to deal with. It's carrion crawlers and just all kinds of stuff.
Gotta love the Underdark,
Yeah, we might
Everyone-
find ourselves there with this many elves, but
right? Eventually, one or more of us will get that pull to do something about that.
yeah, you never know. The rumor mill could turn that way. Yeah,
Jamie?
that's fun. Yeah,
May I ask something?
sure.
How do you the way you say the word for the fish people?
Sahuagin? I'll type it in.
Sahuagin.
Yeah.
So different to,
Let's see.
to what I used my whole life.
Saguin, Sahuagin, I've heard it so many different ways. I just know that the fish people.
In Brazil, with everyone I ever played, naturally we never thought about it.
Yeah.
We would say Sahuagin.
Yeah, I could see, that because that's maybe got a root there. Yeah.
The way we read is Sahuagin. It's the two ways I've heard. It took me a while to to pick up when you was saying.
Yeah, I heard so. It's like the first one you hear is what the way you think it is pronounced.
Yeah.
And I can tell
Because
you
if you-
that embarrassingly, I thought that a Tarask was pronounced a Tarasque for the longest
Oh,
time.
I
So
can see that.
that's a perfect example of the same thing. Where when I heard it said the other way, I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Or that sounds fine too.
Made up- made
Um,
up word.
Saying Tarasque since 1989.
yeah.
I feel like everybody's made that mistake. If I don't know.
Oh,
unless-
here in Brazil, we
so many
say
people
Sahab.
have. Anyway. I did. If you see it in print first, right? Like,
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
And you just said drow. Is that
Yes,
right?
I
For
did.
elf.
Drow.
Elves. Here we always said drow.
Dro.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can see
Drow
that.
elf.
Yeah.
Which is it? I actually don't
Was-
know.
Drow.
Drow, okay.
Lano. Drow.
I would think that Faerun is a lot just like our world, that you would say it in all those accents and people would figure it out pretty quickly. Oh, okay, that's the same thing, just their way. So it's
You
cool.
called it a Drew. You mean dark elf, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
dark
you're like
elf.
correcting each other all the damn time. Like,
Dark elf.
Oh, pointy ears and evil. Yeah, okay, yeah, those things.
is Chris back or Prime back?
yeah.
Cool. Right. Cut over to this, and I probably have some corrections to make here. I'm gonna bring you guys in. I think right now you're just seeing the party token. Is that correct?
Yes, the light
And,
around
and
the
you
party.
have
token.
some light around the party token. So I'm gonna bring
Yeah.
your tokens in, and we'll place you again in your position.
Are sharks daytime or nighttime creatures?
Yes.
If they've been following the ship all day,
Sharks can never stop swimming. If they do, they drown.
okay, but that still means there's a
Like
certain level of
dolphins, or just somewhat conscious, but still moving
yeah.
constantly.
Yeah,
Apparently-
that's what I was thinking.
From what I see, they hunt at dawn and dusk and at night. So they're relatively inactive during the day, but I'm assuming they're still awake. Have fun.
Does Bart have speak with animal?
Bart does not. Unfortunately, the spheres of access he has with his Lady Lyra of the Mist is it's a weird collection of stuff.
Fair enough.
I don't have anything to do with animals, combat, or I am lacking in divination as well. I'm assuming because the goddess of lies does not want to know the truth.
Or would want to obscure the truth.
Get rid of Hamden. All right, does this look accurate, guys? I think we're close.
Yeah, that's
Great to me.
Got the
Yeah, I think so.
boat, and so you guys should all have some vision, and I think I have them set appropriately. Again, just to cover that, your infravision is the standard definition, so it's more like night vision. It's not thermal vision. It starts to get crazy if we start using thermal vision. It becomes difficult to manage. So I think you'll see things, you'll see shapes, and you'll see creatures, but you're not going to have predator vision. And so that's the way that the system works as well. So you'll kind of notice things, and you'll have to ask if you see something and you want to check it out. Let me know. So we'll pick it up here where you guys did your dry run. I think everybody got themselves situated. All the gear is packed on the boat. You are at the point where you might be within the hour of the arrival of the Sahuagin ship, and I'll let you guys pick it up and tell me how you want to proceed.
Let's see, at this point we probably have Ronnie and Ervalor ready to be placed in their crates.
I assume I'm there and being quiet, unless...
Yeah, by the time we're
There's less
deploying,
movement.
they're already in their crates and ready to go.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
so
move you guys into the water then. I assume that was the plan, right? You were gonna deploy a little bit ahead of time, if I wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, half hour to an hour beforehand, I would think.
Okay.
So we can gain some distance from the boat, maybe head perpendicular to the boat's travel, but still keep it within sight, using the rules that the crew gave us.
3 fingers between us and them and the...
Yeah.
So what will happen here is you guys will be looking southward at the captain's direction. That's the signal. And as you're looking in that direction, you should see a light appear on the map, a very dim light. Let me know if you do or don't see that in the south central part of the map.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right there.
All right. So that becomes your cue that you know that the boat is getting within 100 yards of the Osprey Herald. I think at this point it's your call on how you want to maneuver the boat and where you want to be positioned when they arrive. But the understanding you have is that the boat is going to come to the starboard side and that they will be pointed in the same direction that you are right now, and then that they'll turn around and head back in the direction they came.
They're here. I'm assuming they're going to travel in this direction, as our boats travel in this direction, and then meet somewhere out here. In which case, hopefully we should be able to just hit there and then come up behind, knowing that that general direction is going to be the island, in the hopes that we can watch them cross us and then pick up speed and be lost behind them, but if that makes sense.
I'd like to see if any of you can detect something during this approach, I'm going to ask for if you have detect noise or any type of skill that you can apply to perception. I think we need to have a check just to see who is aware of what. Any thoughts there?
Including Ronnie
That
and
is the
Herbalord?
tracking, but
We're in the dark, sitting on the boat, so
you
we're not going to
Nothing
notice much.
besides wisdom. Clark might ask if he wants me to, if anyone in the boat wants me to whip up more smoke and fog to.
Here's what I'll do. Yeah, you could do that. Sorry.
I would say if there isn't really any smoke or fog, we probably shouldn't. So that'd become more of a, hey, look at what is that, instead of a, oh, that's just more
Sure.
fog.
Drawing attention, maybe. Yeah.
Mhm.
Why is that fog there, huh?
Or is that fire? Okay. What I'm gonna do then is do a couple checks for you guys. On the boat, Kurza, you do hear a noise come from the waterway where the sharks were, and you see a figure who exits the side of the boat on a lower level and mounts a shark in front of your eyes and swims
Oh,
directly northward. So I'll show you. Actually, you might see that token. There's a little token with a, it might be a little stretched, so not proportioned, but
yeah.
that's him, and he's going to be heading northward. I think he's just mangled because I'm zoomed out and I can't tell. So here we go. That's better.
There you go.
I pointed out to the other people, I don't know if we can do anything about that at this point, because he's probably, underwater immediately?
It becomes where his shoulders are above water and he's sitting back on the shark fin, hanging onto it. From what you can tell from his silhouette, that's what it looks like. And the
I
shark.
can hit him with a magic missile, but I'm not sure that'll take him down, you know what I mean?
I think one of the important pieces is that you think he didn't see you guys, because it looked like from the angle that he left the boat, he couldn't make out, he wouldn't have been able to see the rowboat in the water or anything. Now, he may have had other knowledge, but you don't think he laid eyes on you during that time that he exited the boat. So it moves on, unless you guys are taking an action. He moves out of sight and goes northward.
Yeah, I
And
say let him go.
Yeah, none of us have bows out, I'm assuming.
No.
Oars, maybe, but
Yeah.
the Sahuagin ship starts to approach. You guys don't have really sightline to this, especially those of you in crates, but the rest of you may eventually see the light get near the side of the Osprey Herald. You guys who are in the crates at this point start to hear the crew bickering a little bit about, I don't want to deal with them. You deal with them. And they start bickering a little bit about who's going to move the crates. And during that time, suddenly you feel your crates jerk and shift, and you feel the lids raise up off of the top, and your ruse was successful. They did not detect you, Ervalor, and yours. And Ronnie, they didn't open yours, but you felt like they moved you and your crate. So you're both in motion, and you feel obviously some of the bumps as you're being crossed over the railing, and you are now stowed on their vessel. So I'll move you over there. I'm gonna take away your vision when we get to the next map, because you really won't be able to see anything, and then once you're out of the crates, of course, we'll correct that. But in this case, you just have some general awareness that you're on their vessel. And for the rest of you, you can see on board the deck that the crew is just watching over. Why is this guy here? He's huge. I just noticed this giant that was on the surface of the ship. No one told me about that giant there. Okay. But
Son
you
of
see,
Godzilla.
I didn't tell you about him. But yeah, so you see that the exchange is going. Winnick is standing in the back of the ship and you guys have established with Winnick, we're going to say that he's going to give you the signal that the deal is done, and so he does give you that signal, and so you guys are confirmed that your crates have been delivered and that you're now basically going to try to track the ship, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Are there any lights on the ship itself?
Yeah, so there was a single beacon that they had lit when they got within a couple hundred yards, and they keep that beacon lit as they're sailing off, so you can still track it. This is where I think we might need to do some type of sort of group roll to see how well you guys can commandeer the ship. I'm open to ideas on how we can do that. If you guys want to figure out how successful you are, we could even roll the sailing conditions and just interpret it with this situation, or if you guys have a skill that it comes in handy, I'm open to ideas.
So I've got is
The
to
four of us
attention
running the boat, you mean?
Yeah, the boat. I'm sorry, the guys on the boat, and then I'll give the guys in the crates a chance to weigh in.
'Cause I think all we're trying to do at this point is just row fast enough to at least keep them in sight. It won't be important until we get closer to the island. But I'm also curious if they take aboard the shark rider
Okay,
at
so
some point.
you want to keep your eyes on that and see if you can observe. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can try to do that.
because he might have observed the boxes being created with Ronnie and Ervalor in them, and
or just have overheard us talking about it.
yeah,
So what I'll say first is that in order to steer the vessel and get yourselves oriented and moving in the same direction as them, which can be difficult, you would probably need some type of seamanship proficiency, which I'm pretty positive nobody does have, but it's a dexterity-based skill. So what we could say is that
what's coordination too? If we each have, there's
Right.
four of us rowing, we
right.
have to row in unison.
Right.
So I think if each of you made a dexterity check, we'll interpret this with each of you having a -3, and we'll see what the outcome is. If a majority of you succeed, then you get good orientation, and if not,
Dex -3.
for the rowers, I guess everyone's rowing, but okay, so one miss, one succeed.
Nice.
It's up to the other two. Another succeed, so it's on the last roll. Okay, so 3 of 4 of you is enough in this situation to get the vessel turned in the direction you needed and to cut some of the water so that you're moving now in the same trajectory. And let's see. I want to go back to your other thoughts there. You guys were asking some other questions I didn't get to answer. What was that you wanted to do else that you wanted to do?
Just observe the ship a little bit immediately to see if the shark rider boards.
Okay. So I think that would be maybe usually it's like a wisdom check or something like that for perception, unless you've got some other idea.
I don't think I have anything that would be the
It's like tracking in my mind, or
yeah.
So
The Rangers might have a better
yeah,
I have
time
a
of
tracking
it.
Skill.
yeah. If you wanted
Yeah.
to use tracking, like you could maybe use that, and
Here's my wisdom shot. Nope. Too busy rowing.
yeah, it'd be difficult to probably see.
Fires on the tracking.
I think because it's water and that's not your natural terrain, I don't believe.
Right.
We'll do a -3 on that. So yeah, you guys don't necessarily follow if that happens or not. And so at this point, you get the ship going and you start following them. And we'll do just a couple more checks to basically see if you're able to keep up and keep yourself going in the right direction.
That could be, the rider could be separate from the other forces that we're chasing. We might be dealing with two different factions here. Or the same faction? I'm not sure which.
Go ahead.
Dexterity checks, or
Yeah, we're gonna do another dex roll for the rowers, and while you guys are doing that, Rod and Ronnie, I'm sorry, and Valor, anything? Let me give you a little bit of information. So you've definitely felt yourself be moved into their vessel. It feels like you got moved into an actual underneath space that you're not probably on the deck any longer of that vessel. So you definitely feel like you went down a level or something like that after you got on the vessel. You've heard some of their language, and it sounds very peculiar to you. You've heard them talking and definitely now maybe start to recognize that sound and having heard that language whispered in the corner of the boat as well. So you're piecing that together as you're on board here. And I don't know if you guys would do anything. I don't want to force you to do anything, but that's where you're at. Where did we end up on this? We had one good. You guys were 3 for 4 again? Okay.
forgot. Depends if you got the -3. So I think there's just straight up dex checks. At least the one I rolled was.
Yeah,
Oh,
mine
okay.
too.
Okay.
I put -3 on mine.
So 1, 2. Okay, so yeah,
So
2. All right.
it might be struggling with the chains on his sensor, his holy device, trying to hold it and reverence while rowing at the same time. Maybe he's got it mixed up a little bit in the
Yeah,
oar.
and they would have been turning. So at first you guys were feeling, oh, this isn't going to be terribly hard to track them. But then all of a sudden they turned, and now they've got the advantage of the wind and better aerodynamics and knowledge of the seas. And so basically you're getting a little further from them. You can still see that beacon though on the ship, so it's clear to you the trajectory you've got to stay on. Uh, Ronnie and Ervalor, anything that you guys, I'm going to say that perchance you find yourselves stacked in a pile of crates and you actually whisper and notice that you're right next to each other where you can just whisper between the cracks of the boards of your crate and you feel pretty safe that you can't be heard. I'll let you guys discuss anything you might want to align on while we're under chase here.
Think we have to wait until we are on the ground outside the ship to make a move?
What? I'm a little worried that they'll lose us, but that's a good point. We don't want to get caught. Can we see anything? Like, if I don't know how.
Between
how
the cracks, can you
Yeah,
spot something?
If we peer out, I don't know if there's a people or.
I'll tell you what, I did add a couple little macro buttons. And
Okay.
so you'll
Oh,
see
cool.
on the screen there's a percentile. If you want to hit percentile, I'll give you a 30% chance that you can find a crack that gives you an angle where you can maybe get some view. Perfect. Okay. So you do find like an opening basically between a couple of boards in your crate and 3 figures moving around in this storage place, moving and shuffling boxes. This it's dark, but you can still make out the shape of this fish head humanoid who is about looks to you to be of equal height to you and similar stature. They're dressed with some crude gear. Even from your perspective, they don't appear to be like soldiers, like heavy armored soldiers necessarily, but they do each have some blades on their hips. That's what you're able to determine after watching through that crack for a little while.
This boat is bigger than ours, than the one we came from.
What's that? The box?
This boat we are at
Oh, boat. No,
is
the boat.
bigger.
No, it's smaller. It's smaller for sure. You were told it was smaller,
So
but you didn't see it,
if there are
so you haven't seen
3
it. But
figures here, it will be easy to then to spot us if we left the crate.
yeah, you feel like you feel like there's a very high percentage that you would be seen if not make enough noise that it would get their attention because they're still sorting through the crates and organizing the storage, and there's 3 of them in pretty close proximity to you. So that's, and again, you don't have necessarily the best bearing on where your crate is located. That's just what you can see through the crack that I'm telling you. So we'll cut back to the row your boaters. We're gonna do one last check, guys, I promise, and then we'll see if we can't get you to a different option. So if you guys all hit Dex one more time, let's see if we can get a consensus.
Angry.
Hmm.
And this is at -3, right?
This is
Yeah.
looking more promising.
Yeah. You're still making it with the.
It's
Who else? Our druid. Oh no, you did it. Okay. You failed though, but everyone else did it, so we needed that. All right, so you guys start to get basically far enough from the Osprey Herald that it seems like it would be difficult to turn around and even catch them at that point. You're closing ground, it feels, on the vessel when you start to notice some jagged rocks that are emerging from the seabed and sticking up through the waves and starting to become an obstacle for you. And it seems like it slowed the other vessel for a minute, but then it seems almost as if they picked up speed while you're slowing down. So there's a little bit of this touch and go, and you guys ultimately get yourselves to the next location. And I need to, before I move you there, I need to adjust the vision for Ronnie and Hervalor. I didn't know who would have the balls to get in the crate, but I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of you guys for jumping in the box.
well, if nobody else had the stealth, I was
Well,
going to put
we're the sneaky ones. I mean, it's more skills than balls.
No guts, no glory. Fortune favors the bold.
All right, let me double check. I'm just double checking vision real quick because we are coming to a new map. Those of you who have vision at this point, you'll see yourselves in the lower right of the screen. And this is where I think I need to address the humans and how it is that you are going to be able to see. Right now you have vision enabled and I've given you basically a torch. I just assumed that, right? Let me know what you guys are doing and I'll adjust here so that we've got the right setting.
There's got to be some visibility from the moon because we've been traveling
Yeah,
at night for a while. So even the humans should be able to see something.
sure. And so
as
I'll
long
give
as
you,
it's not overcast, yeah,
let's see.
everyone should be able to see pretty okay. It's just us elves will be able to see like it's broad daylight.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this then. I'll basically give like a low light torch to both of the humans for that so that they have pretty similar, actually I'll do 30. Okay. So that was Beijing, and this is
See a little bit here.
that. Hopefully corrected things. Everybody good? Everybody have some vision other than our crated folks?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is where you guys get close enough and you see that the ship has gone into a jagged area with very shallow water and positioned and turned itself, and you're getting closer to that point and you see some rock formations and things ahead of you, and I'll let you tell me what you would like to do.
Yeah, there's only one. I guess we're going to have to go a little bit slower.
Yeah,
And
we're gonna have to go
see-
in real super slow.
And see if we can follow their path. Although they had only one light, so we can't really necessarily tell which way they were turning.
I'll stop rowing and try to take a look since we're slowing down.
I think I might rely on elf friends in the boat to actually spy out and see what obstacles may lay in our path and we want to
Okay.
watch out for. Kind of
Okay.
as it's dark and perhaps not trusting my own human eyes.
Let's have you do let's see, I would, again, maybe it's wisdom, or if you've got some other skill.
All I've got is wisdom.
Yeah, I'm completely
Yeah.
in a foreign zone on the boat here. Besides just
Yeah.
raw wisdom.
Okay,
So
so we'll do wisdom checks, and I'll give you guys a modifier here. But let's see, so you're
18 didn't help me this time.
There you go.
yeah. So the elves are. It's just fitting that the elves are and the druid got to see it. But so you all are keeping a pretty sharp eye around, and you notice basically as you're looking ahead, you actually notice out of the corner of your eye in this direction here a couple of sharks, and they look as if they were following the vessel, and that they now are circling in the waters over here, at least from what you last saw before they descended, and are circling as far as.
So but they have no riders on them, right?
Oh no, you didn't see any riders on them.
Okay.
No.
Probably the direction we need to go is skirt the area that they're swarming.
Yeah, that's where they left the boat. If that was the boat's course and they left the boat behind to stay in the deeper waters, we might want to go closer, but not that close, rather than the opposite direction. What do you think?
Yeah, northwest, or west, essentially.
I think we should skirt the rocks over here.
Yeah, and northwesterly.
Yeah.
And
More west.
And I assume that you are trying to be undetected, and knowing you're getting closer, we could do some type of check to see how well you're staying hidden. If you're trying to use this rock as an obstacle to keep that between you, this rock here, I can give you guys a bonus for that, unless you're not worried about
If they're
hearing the boat.
if they're at the 3-finger distance.
Yeah,
hopefully-
what I'm saying is, I'm sorry. What I'm saying is that you're starting to now close that distance. Yeah, I'm sorry. Good point.
Have they stopped?
Yeah, they appear to have stopped,
Okay,
and you're closing distance. Yep.
so we're gonna have to get closer in and possibly find another alternate place to. How far away are they?
This is probably looks like a couple hundred feet at this point.
So we want to
200
find
feet.
an alternate landing point then.
We should probably hang back and wait till the boys get out of the crate and we see what's going on.
Okay.
Because that was the deal, is they were going to signal us where we could land.
Okay.
Lee's going to turn to Bart and say, "What happens when the sun comes up?"
We are screwed.
We'd
If
best
the
be
sun comes
behind some type of cover when the sun comes up, I'd say. So
Yeah.
If the
we're
sun
at liberty of the elf to guide us in to landfall and find some place to conceal the boat before it does get light, and hopefully take cover within vantage point of the Sahuagins.
Yeah. So while you guys are on the boat, maybe debating what's the right move, cutting over to Ronnie and Ervalor, you are again able to see through that crack just enough that there's some activity. Eventually, it dies down in that room, and you don't hear or see anyone for several minutes. And during that time, you hear movement up above you on what you think is the top deck. And at that point, you also can sense that the vessel is changing direction and slowing down. So I'll give you guys an opportunity to coordinate.
I think this is our chance, my friend.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
All right.
So-
So we're gonna basically give you guys I assume you're trying to move silently as you exit your crates. So I think that would be an appropriate check to see how well you're able to exit. And of course, they still have to detect it, so it doesn't mean you automatically fail. But
You know what? I'm not the most stealthy person. I'm going to say My friend, I am here to back you up. I will be listening, but perhaps you are much more stealthy than I. Perhaps you ought to go ahead and signal if you think that.
Pray for Timora.
But I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Okay. Just a moment, my character sheet does not seem to be working. I will refresh it.
Yeah, refresh. It happens to me all the time on Roll20. I don't know what the deal is.
I'm
Gets idle
wondering if
for a while, so it's just a moment.
I should be here as the backup muscle, basically. If if I hear any commotion.
You are the muscle.
Yeah, but my move silently is a 30%, and I'm assuming yours is much higher. As a ranger, it's
not bad though.
I-
30% is not
I
terrible.
feel there's a clinging bonus in this circumstance.
So
okay. Yeah, you know what? I'm being a coward.
what I'll say if Ronnie,
You're just
you
trying to
go ahead
grab.
and roll your move
Yeah.
silently,
That's good.
and then if you get out and
I'm
you want
trying,
to
I'm trying.
assist Ervalor, we'll give him a bonus to his roll based on your percentage. I'll let him have basically half of your skill added to his.
Awesome.
Oh, great. Just a moment, it's loading.
No worries.
I don't know why.
If you want to, also you could just hit the percentile macro on the lower left, and it'll roll.
Perfect.
I don't know. You may know what your skill is. I can double check it. Yours is what? Let's see. Move silently as yours is 50%. Okay.
60.
60? Okay. Yeah, all right. So you're able to get yourself completely out of the crate with very little in the way of disturbance to the crates around you. You're able to slide the one on top of you out of the way even and squeeze yourself through just like you had thought. And so now you can assist Ervalor. And Ervalor, if you'd like to make the roll, you have a 20% and he's got a 60, so you'll have a 50% chance.
Okay, cool. I actually think I can add a modifier. Let me try that. I'm not quite sure what I did. I put in 30% as a modifier, but should I just roll that again?
Let's see, what did it do? I'm trying to see even what it
I don't know. I typed in 30 as a modifier for...
Yeah, just roll it
roll it
regular.
again.
Just roll it.
Yeah, sorry about that. I thought that...
All right, that's fine. You guys are working together to get yourselves out, and as you're doing that, one of the crates shifts just slightly as you're pulling yourself out of it, having a little bit more difficult time than the halfling, but still not terrible for you to get out, but unfortunately made a disturbance, and it shifts some things enough that you guys just suddenly freeze and get quiet because you're not sure if you were hurt or not. And from there, I'll cut back to the rowboat. Have you guys decided, do you want to get any closer, or are you still just waiting on some signals?
How heavy are the waves at this point?
They,
If we get closer to that rock, are we gonna risk crashing?
no, it doesn't feel like it's going to throw you into something if you're paying attention, right? If you put all the rows down or the paddles down, then of course you might get shifted into something, but as long as you guys are staying attentive, you don't feel like it's that treacherous near the rocks. It's mild in this section.
Were we
Until
going to
dawn.
try and...
What's that?
How long till dawn?
How long till dawn? Yeah, you think you've probably got about 4 to 5 hours of darkness still. Your guess.
Okay.
Were we going to try to put to land before dawn, or kind of hang out here? I guess that's what we were discussing earlier. If we wanted to try and go on shore and find a good vantage point or not.
They've only just reached shore, presumably. So we know shore is about a couple hundred feet. Is that it, Jamie?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah,
Okay, so
and even if you like stop paddling, you're drifting towards shore. But the water is pushing you towards the rocks and towards the shore. even if you guys aren't paddling, you almost have to resist that a little bit if that's what you're trying to do, and just stay still. Let me know. Or if you're trying to inch forward, or
At this
So
point,
I'm not sure
Hmm.
what the vantage point of being in the ocean is at this point. So I wonder if we want to just.
True. It's only a matter. Yeah, if we have to wait 3 days for our pickup. Even if we head back out with them immediately, it doesn't really do us much because we have to come back in to land to stick around for 3 more days.
This is the part. This is the part of the night when you realize you're with the guy who has the amulet, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I feel really good right now that I'm with the guy with the amulet.
Yeah, I think we should go to shore and find a good place to stash the boat if something is available. If we can see it in the night, and
maybe head west since we're at the edge of the map.
Yeah, over here.
You want to go northwest,
or just directly west and land west.
Avoiding the sharks that you guys saw, though. But yeah,
yeah, but if we can see where they're at
over here.
So if we land maybe west,
if we go over here
of
I'll tell you what, all 4 of you on the boat on 3, click the direction that you're steering, and I'm going to take the hurricane route in between. Because that is what it's like if you've ever paddled before with anyone. It is essentially just battling each other for direction and pull. We'll do it seriously on 3. Just click in the direction that you want to head the boat, and we're going to find the middle ground.
Very good, very good.
1, 2, 3. All right. So it looks like more of a northwestern trajectory, but a little bit of that. So I'm going to start moving you in that direction. You guys, unfortunately, I can't get them all to group together, so I literally have to sit here and step them. All right. Something off on the map, but you get a little bit closer here. I'll let you see a little bit more. You get to this point where now you can see the front of the ship, I believe. And you see the rock to your right, more beach down to the west. And
yeah, we should definitely start heading more like due west.
Straight west, yeah.
Okay. All right. So
my character's gonna suggest that maybe she gets her shield out, and Kerwin gets your bow, and the other 2 can just row, and maybe more of a defensive chance if we're spotted.
Yeah, so speaking of that, as you're doing that and equipping yourselves a little bit in anticipation, you do notice that the sharks in the water have gotten close to you and taken a little bit of interest in your ship. So as you paddled in that direction, you notice 2 of them, again, that are following your ship. Right? Back to the boat, the crates are open, and you 2 are standing there in silence. Up above, you hear things happening and moving, and you do hear some footsteps that start to move towards the center of the ship. So you definitely hear something after a few moments starting to move and walk across the top deck. So what would you guys like to do?
Hide.
Back in the crate or behind the crates, or?
That's actually a really good question. Is it obvious? How obvious is it that crates have been disturbed?
I think your crate is more disturbed, is very disturbed, as far as maybe it's still shifted open, and that was why you guys made a little noise. Ronnie's it doesn't look disturbed at all. So you would have enough time if you want to fix the crate. Hide behind it, or go in it, one or the other.
If I can try, even with Ronnie's help, to get back in and try to.
I'll help him.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Best I can.
Go for it, and we'll do another boost where you got a 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah.
All right. No screwing with the modifier this time. Let's see. Move silently, right? Yeah. Here we go. Hey! Just made it, right?
Yeah, you made it. So you get yourself back in a lot smoother fashion than you got out, and you were able to get the lid shut just in time with a little bit of aid from Ronnie. And Ronnie what would you like to do as the footsteps are getting nearer?
I will choose a corner, the best suited one, in my quick observation of the space, and I will keep myself very low, very hidden, and silently.
Okay. All right. Go for it. Did it. Yeah, so you are able to slide in and find a corner suitable for a halfling, and it just basically you blend right in to the corner, and you can tell that you feel as if you found a great spot. And anyway, you hear the steps approach and they start to come down, and you hear this voice again in this language that you don't recognize, but it does sound as if they're raising their voice, as if they're possibly barking some orders, is the way that you read the situation from the language, the tone of the language, and you start to hear more steps coming from upstairs, as if they're bringing down more people. Are you going to stay hidden in the corner for now, or do anything different?
There is a window of opportunity to go upstairs.
No,
From what I can see, it's possible. It's feasible.
no, you don't believe that you would be able to get to the steps without having to pass through this visible area. You can try it. I'm not saying you can't try,
Okay,
but I'm just saying
it's
your
common
judgment
sense.
is that, yeah, your judgment is
Yeah.
that it would be very risky. It would come with a lot
Okay.
of risk.
There is any furniture in the room?
There would be some tables in the room that they would put crates on, so you do see some tables in the room, but
Yeah,
mostly
and there is
crates and barrels essentially, and
some
most of
space or niche near the tables or any other furniture or feature of the room that I can stuck myself in.
How about you go ahead and make a wisdom check, and we'll see if you spot a better hiding
I-
place.
Since we are all new to this campaign, I have a proficiency or observation.
Perfect. That's great. Even better.
Okay.
Is that a wisdom based, or is that some intelligence, or do you know?
I will see
Observation.
its intelligence.
Okay, cool. Hiding space is what I think that's telling us, right? 15. So you think the space you're in is safer than if you changed, that you might get too exposed trying to shift position at this point, and you feel
Yeah.
like your hiding spot is the best one, best option. So we'll go back to the boat then real quick for you guys. You're drifting straight westward. I assume you're still fighting each other and paddling in that direction. You're noticing the sharks are continuing to follow. They're not aggressive, but they're definitely not just wandering around. They are drawn to you. So you guys, what would you like to do at this point? You do still see, obviously, that little light coming from over there, and you can see the front of the ship.
Keep rowing west.
All right.
People.
All right. So we'll move you guys way out to the west here. Are you, I think you are. Let me see your vision. You guys taking any precautions or beyond? I know you have your shields out or your gear ready to go. Are you doing anything else?
I've got Hervalor's bow out.
I think it's just is it Bart and Penguin that are rowing now, or
Chris is probably rowing.
Bart and Kurza, yeah.
something? Because the rest of you had some preparations with bows and
Yeah.
Yeah, I could use a
And
bow and I
shield?
could shoot somebody with it on our side.
I was thinking I might toss some jerky or something from my rations into the water to see if it distracted the sharks, but I realized I left those all back with my pony, so I might get hungry here in the next day or two.
There's food all about, and you might be on the menu as well.
Oh, okay. So they're not even distracted by
No, yeah,
tasties in the water. They're looking at us
yeah,
distinctly.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
All right.
Yeah, they
We're
seem
not-
to be
we're-
attracted to the movement more than the meal.
And we're so close to the ship, I don't want to engage them because that'll draw even more attention to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what starts to happen is you end up getting into a shallower section where the sharks back off and don't seem to follow or be able to follow at the same speed. And no, you're not in the water, but there we go.
All the better.
So you reach the point where your ship is starting to rub on the rocks and ground beneath you, and as you get closer to the shoreline,
we should
you
just
see
land
the
here.
sharks behind you still out there, but they're not able and not really seeming to come any closer into the shallows.
We can't rub on the rocks. We have to get onto the shore.
Get over here. Round.
We can
Is
land
this a little rise on the beach? This here?
Yeah, so there is a beach area, like a shallow beach, and then you'll see like a rock wall, an elevation of rock that pretty much goes straight up, and then there's a couple of openings that you can see, or that you believe that you see one straight ahead, that this is an opening, and you think that in this direction is also an opening.
I'm gonna start rooting through my pack and get out some rope.
Okay. All right. Anything else are you guys all now just equipping and gonna hold this position? Is that the idea?
I was assuming we're going to try and hit the shore and find a place to stow the boat. Or
yeah. I was gonna
camouflage it to the best of our abilities, or
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We're gonna have to drag it ashore at some point.
You're gonna do a strength check. We'll do a group strength check on that and pull this thing up far enough that you feel like it won't drop back.
I think we should actually pick it up and bring it on shore where we can hide it.
Yeah.
Rather than leave it half at the shoreline.
Yeah.
Because if we leave it at the shoreline, it's gonna be visible come daylight. We need to hide it for a couple of days on shore.
Maybe over
on
here.
land. Yeah.
Okay.
Find something to cover it with. Either farther away from the boat than we are now.
All right. So where would you guys like to carry it? We'll just do essentially, I'm not even going to make you do the strength check to carry it around once you get it out of the water, but we'll do a strength check to make sure that you're able to even get the thing out. And we're not going to worry about, at that point, all the bits and everything. I'm assuming you're going to unload the ship and then pull it out. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, toss everybody's packs out.
Bart's not much help. He's pulling the wrong way on the boat or something. I don't know.
You're pushing while everyone's pulling.
Yeah.
You may have they left you with the slippery section that you just can't get any grip on or something.
Do that. Or I'm stuck in the surf. He's unused to the ocean, and that's quite a beast to contend with on its own. He's hurting more than he's helping.
Well, we did have some success though overall. So it does. We did get the boat out of the water. So you guys can basically move around with the boat in 30 feet right now as far as where you're at. If you'd like to carry it somewhere within 30 feet, and then let me know what you'd like to do with it.
I'd say there'd be a decent spot just to see what we have in the area to put it in a corner and cover it.
These 5-foot squares?
They're a little bigger than that. I think they're closer to 10.
I'm assuming my vision's a little bit limited in regards because I'm human, but yeah.
We're not going very far with it in 10-foot squares, so we drag it.
You guys are able to get it this far, essentially, and lean it against this rock where it's standing up in a way that looks similar to the rock wall. You could try to take other measures to cover it if you'd like. There's no vegetation or debris other than some sand, unless you have something in your packs.
My character was more worried about how much noise we were making dragging it up, because she would, if it was very loud dragging it through gravel or whatever, she would attempt to stop the group from doing that and go back.
Yeah, we don't want to drag it. You're right.
With rope and letting it drift and trying to tie it off onto a rock or something. I don't know if that's a good plan or not, but if it's very loud, DM Jamie, my character is going to have input on that.
Yeah,
That's
so
where
there's a
strength
risk
check
of
to pick it up, right?
there's a risk of that. So yeah, the strength check got it up and out, but if you
Okay.
wanted to be sneaky about that and silent about that would be another dex roll, I believe.
But
Is there much of a-
certainly, all of us talking about doing this would make a lot of noise too.
Is there much of a surf here, like with waves and things coming in? Because
It's helping you.
generally is.
It's helping you. I'm
But,
modifying
yeah,
for that because you are in a point also where that would echo to them inside the not your noise necessarily, but the water would. So you do
because
have
the
an
ocean
advantage.
in general might be quite noisy, I would imagine.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking we should probably just get it around this corner to here, not very far, just so we don't have a direct line of sight from the boat in the morning.
So we need dex
Yeah, that's
checks.
fine.
Just go ahead and do dex checks, and we'll see. First of all, if you got it to where you're at, and then let's cut back to the boat, the crates. You, Ronnie, are able to hear footsteps of what you can now see and peek and peer around the corner and see are that these are the Sahuagin or Sahuagin, and they like about the boat and they're looking to pick up. It looks like they're starting to unload the boat is the sense you get, and that they're starting in the far corner of the room, and you're pretty sure that at some point they'll be coming towards the stack of crates that you're hiding behind and that Ervalor is hiding in. Give you an opportunity to decide what you'd like to do as you start to notice this. You see some of their backs turned to you across the room. They're picking up crates. There are two of them currently standing across the room on the boat.
Okay. I'll try to find the better way the better time, the better moment to make a dash.
Okay. All right. So we'll just go ahead and I'll roll a check and I'll have you roll a. I assume you're trying to move silently while you're down.
For sure.
So you can do that. And we'll
Sneaky
see.
is the modus operandi.
You can try that and we'll see. Oh yeah. You are not, you don't seem to have any problem. Your soft bare feet on the planks sound like feathers on a pillow, and you move yourself right up the steps at a timing that you feel like gives you some space to make a decision when you get to the top deck. And so you fly up the steps, and when you get to the top steps, I'm going to turn your vision on, Ronnie. One moment. Feet. Okay, you should be good. Let me save that. Did your world change at all? You should see
Not yet.
Okay. Should see some things now.
Okay. I have just to adjust the image.
Yeah, so you essentially have climbed to the top deck of this ship, and as you reach the top deck, you are standing directly behind a Sahuagin who does not notice you and who is doing some maintenance on the top deck of the ship. You're literally standing right behind him as you reach the top deck. You can see a couple of directions from the top position that you're in. And what would you like to do?
The boat is beached or still on water?
It's basically almost about to be beached. The tide, they timed it to where the tide is lowering as they pulled in, and it's getting lower and lower. So the water level underneath the ship is only a few inches at this point.
Okay, I will try to put myself near the rail, something like that, and yeah, and I'll see if it's possible to cling to the outside, not jump in the water, just cling.
Hang off the side, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. What would you like to do?
Because I don't want to leave Ervalor to himself alone. I want to keep a way of escape, but still keep an eye on Ervalor and his situation.
Okay. All right. So you can hang from the side if you'd like to try to make a check to see. I assume it's going to really be two things. You've already done the move silently, so I'm good with that. I think it's probably just a matter of strength to hold on and how long you get to hold on before that becomes difficult.
Okay.
You'll have some time regardless of what you roll, but depending on the outcome, it might limit how much time you can hang off the side of the ship. And
Do you want a strength check?
yeah, just do a straight strength.
Let's see if I remember
Unless you've
where's
got
the.
climb walls or something, right? Yeah, but strength would be hanging on more.
Okay. I think this is it.
Climb walls. Okay, so yeah, so you're able to hang on for a
Not
few
so good.
minutes, but essentially you slip off the side and you land down below in the way that you land does not create too big of a splash or disturbance, but you're now basically standing at the bottom of the ship on the outside of the ship, and you hear movement going on the deck above you, and you hear and see some of the Sahuagin that were in the lower deck coming to the top deck, and it looks like they're moving crates. So we'll park it there real quick and go back to the beach front.
Okay.
Anything, guys, that you are thinking about with the boat?
We should probably take minimal gear and weapons and leave the heavier stuff here with the boat.
Do you want to leave it in line of sight with the bigger boat, or does that not matter at this point, do you think?
We've already got it leaned up so it looks like the rock outcropping. I don't think it's going to matter much.
Okay. At least in the short term.
Yeah.
Okay, grab our stuff and see if they need some help getting out of the crates. Or the ship.
Okay, so you guys are going to move down the beach towards the ship.
What kind of other voices are we hearing besides these fish guys? Does it all sound like fish guy?
Yeah, so this is where you guys wouldn't probably hear it from where you're at, but Ronnie and you were only hearing the fish voice during your trip and in the time that you've been in the crate and on the ship. So yeah, I think you guys are going to head down the beachfront, and I'm assuming again that you're going to try to have some stealth in doing that.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. All right, for those of you who are trying to sneak down the beach, make your roll, and you can move your movement speed. You should be able to move your movement speed here with that.
What's the height of this rock outcropping?
It's like a maybe this particular section is like maybe a 6 to 8 foot. So it's like above your eye line.
And this one's higher?
That one's a little higher. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Definitely falling behind the elves here because they can see better at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take lead sword out.
Okay. If you guys basically, as you get to this point, you notice up this way that it looks like there's a corridor that leads inward. It's just that you would have to climb up if you wanted to go down the corridor or see more of it. It's out of your sight line, but you definitely see an open corridor that way. And then, of course, back where you put your boat, it looked like there was a corridor that way as well that was on the same level where you didn't have to climb up. Otherwise, you see basically just sheer rock going straight up in these other sections between you and where the boat is stalled.
Do we want to climb up here? At least just to take a peek at someone's.
I'll give
Do we
you.
want
Or boost me up?
Yeah, I'll give you a
do
boost
we
up
want to set a
the
couple of
ridge.
watches and have someone take a peek in there? And just because we're on an unfamiliar shore and there's a surf pounding around us.
Quietly.
Boost me up a bit so I'll take a look down this corridor then.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you some eyes, Ervalor, because I feel really bad that he's caught in this thing. I want to give you something to see.
That's good.
I'll give you some vision there. So
No, you don't have to, actually. It's cool. I have no idea what's going on, right?
Yeah. All right. So
We can't see them either, so.
Are you guys trying to climb that ledge, or are you?
No, just boost me up a couple of feet so I can get my eyes over the lip here,
Okay.
and that's about it.
Sure.
Think-
All right.
Yep.
Let me
Just
do
to give
that.
Kurza a look, so make sure we're not like walking into a pile of Sahuagin or something.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
So that's what we'll do is, and we're getting close to the cutoff, and we'll cut off here in just a few minutes. So you guys are boosting Kurza up,
Yep.
and while we do that,
Just enough to get line of sight down this way.
could somebody go ahead and roll a 10-sided from the group? Go ahead, Kurza, and roll a 10-sided for me.
Okay.
All right. When you get to that level, let me see. I'm just going to move you up there so that you have the line of sight. And so as you get raised up there, I think you can see this.
Any movement? Live bodies
Yes.
moving around?
So at this point, this is when you'll have to roll group initiative for the four of you. And so you've basically been spotted.
So they spotted my forehead coming up?
They spotted your forehead coming up.
Because that's all that was coming up above the ledge there was just the...
I know. And unfortunately, there's a guy literally right at that corner that you can't see probably right now on your screen. But
I don't think it's so much that they saw us as that they heard us.
That could be too.
In game fiction.
Let me also, I think the nocturnal lighting that they use, it makes it different. Don't know if that helped or not. I'll have to mess with the night vision so that you can see clearly, but he's tucked around the corner there, which you wouldn't have seen him. So that was the situation. Yeah, that you stepped into. So somebody rolls the group initiative. I think in this case, since Chris stuck his head up, we'll let you roll the group initiative. And we won't really step too far into this battle because we won't have the time, but I think it'll be good because we'll have the order established and we'll get to start our next game in this battle. And before we wrap up, I did want to see if you guys are available to play this same time next week or not. Is suddenly become available. I may schedule the game for this time next week if that's workable. If not, it'll be a couple more weeks after. I'll have to take a couple weeks between because I've got some things coming up.
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay.
I'll throw it up in the
next week.
Yeah, same time next week. Essentially.
Thursdays are.
I have to get back to you on that. Maybe.
Okay.
Thursdays are better for me than Fridays, so this is pretty great actually.
All right, so you rolled a 10 on the group initiative.
Okay, I can't see what I'm doing, so...
Yeah, that's okay. So you rolled the 10 on the initiative, and at that point,
My chat disappeared.
Oh, your chat disappeared?
Yeah. It separated and then went into its own window, and now...
Oh, fancy. Yeah,
now it's gone.
Draggable thing. You may have to refresh, but you are... you are lucky because you essentially hear some movement, and then suddenly a spear comes flying overhead in your direction. And comes flying over the cliff edge that your friends just boosted you up in and out towards the waterway, and it missed you by quite a bit, but you were spotted, and you
I look down and say, oops.
This time it wasn't Ronnie, but that is where we're going to end. I'll leave you guys in some suspense, and we'll pick up in combat, at least for 4 of you, and we'll try to get Nate out of the dark and see if we can't reunite this group also. But I think this is probably the best place to park it, and we're right on time. I will calculate XP. I'll go through the actions and everything that everyone took and get that posted. I'll put it in here. And any questions, anything you guys wanted to talk about?
It's the second session, and we already split the party, so this seems like
I gotta drop, but it was great to play with you all. So
thanks, Nate.
Yeah, all right, you guys. Thanks. We'll see you.
Yep, talk to you guys later.
Thanks, everybody. Yep, we'll catch you all later, and I'll be on Discord. So if anyone wants to talk through anything or has any other questions, we can go through it. But I'll leave it paused right here, and we'll pick up next week. Thanks, gentlemen. Have a great evening and a good weekend.
Thank you, Jamie. Again, very nice game.
Again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll update
Thanks again.
the party.
Have a nice weekend.
Here, so.
Okay. Thank you. You too.